think Tevez going to Juventus, what a coup that was for me. I mean,
on a head-to-head battle, Atletico Madrid can do more damage to Barcelona than the other way around.
Either he's really blind or he's fixing the match. I can't see it any other way.
It is an upset. You would expect Man United to go and win there.
Over $1 billion was paid in transfer fees between the clubs in Europe.
And Bayern Munich are going to be favourites for me against anybody at home in the world. The 03-04 season, actually, Olympiacos have won 8 of the last 10 domestic league campaigns, so there is only really one team in Greece, which we kind of already knew.
Because things have been pretty much decided, just as a quick glance before we go through the table, PSG is going to lock up this thing with 1 more point. Monaco's solidly in second place. Lille is going to be in that Champions League qualifier position, 7 points ahead of Saint Etienne. If you're a serious talent, you're going back and you're playing for Santos. You're going back to play for, like in Argentina, for River Plate or Boca Juniors, or you're going to Europe.
He looked like the Ryan Giggs of old. He was more creative than any player on the pitch. He made Mata look stupid. He made Rooney look silly.
I am your host, Joe Usello. My co-host, Rob Rojas. My trusted co-host, Ben the Machine.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of Low Limit Football. I'm your host, Joe Usello, and semi-rested up after our special edition podcast, which I will tweet the link out a little later on tonight, that we did with Two Daft Yanks last night. It was a great little go-round between 4 of us during the Orlando City NYCFC matchup. We had a great time. I want to thank Chad and Corey again over at Two Daft Yanks for letting us come on and working together. And we're planning on making it a regular thing every couple months. We're going to pick a weekend or something, and we're going to do a podcast of some sorts, whether it be during a major announcement or during a particular match that's of interest. So we plan on making that something a regular thing in the future. So gentleman that joined me last night on that podcast was Roberto Rojas. Rob, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Good,
Thank you.
Good. Well rested after our big debut on Two Daft Yanks last night?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it seems like it was received pretty well. I saw a bunch of the different tweets and stuff afterwards, and it looked like people enjoyed it. So, it definitely was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, and also, although he could not be there last night in body, he was certainly there in spirit. The great Sir Bob, Mike Orr. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, Joe, how you doing? I'm doing all right. I just wanted to say, I guess my condolences. Simpsons creator and well-known high-stakes poker player Sam Simon passed away this afternoon.
Oh, you're kidding! I didn't know he was sick.
Yeah, he had cancer. Was been in remission for about a year now, but I guess it finally got him.
Oh, geez, that's sad news. He was always a good guy. I know that it's strictly a soccer show, but it was born of a poker show. So, and 2 of us are degenerate gamblers here. So, that is certainly sad news to hear. He was well liked in the poker community, that's for sure. So. And you probably seen him on High Stakes Poker that was on the Game Show Network a few years back playing in some of those high stakes games. So that is sad news. It's sad
and everybody knows The Simpsons.
Oh, no doubt. But that is not good news. It is what it is. But obviously our condolences to his family and friends out in the poker world and the community, and to all the people that worked with him on The Simpsons. That it's certainly sad news, to say the least. So we got a pretty good show tonight. We're actually, guys, one thing, we're not as guest heavy as we have been in days, weeks, and months past. We only technically have 2 guests tonight. Our first guest actually depends on which one's going to be first. One of them is a pre-recorded interview that we did yesterday with Ryan Penkarski, who is a young soccer phenom up in Canada. So we had a few minutes with him to chit-chat and ask a few questions. And then joining us at 7 o'clock tonight is going to be, or returning to us at 7 o'clock tonight, is going to be the one and only Juan Arango, who is a fantastic interview. He is lively. certainly must listen to radio for us, and we're really happy that we're going to have him back on. So one thing I do want to mention before we get started is last week we ran a little long and a little late, and because of it, we forgot to give our week ahead segment and predict our matches that were coming up for the week. So we won't have any predictions to go through like we normally do when we recap our leagues. So we apologize for not putting our necks out on the line to give a few predictions there, but we will make sure that we definitely cover it this week. Also, Mike, you've been hard at work all week preparing an MLS preview, even though we had week 1 this weekend. Going to preview, I guess, some teams, some information. Obviously, we had the labor negotiations that got resolved this week. So certainly a lot of MLS news. I got a chance to watch about 2.5 of the 3 games yesterday before exhaustion and this head cold got the best of me, and I zonked out in bed. But I did get to see a little bit of all 3 matches. I got to say, guys, if you were watching MLS yesterday, exciting stuff. Mike, did you get a chance to see any of the matches yesterday?
I seen parts of all 3.
And as a general, I mean, I don't know how much of it's going to be in your segment, so I don't want you to dabble into it too much. But give me some general, quick thoughts on it.
I thought it was really low scoring week, that's for sure. But I still thought the play was pretty good, contrary to a lot of the tweets I've seen from people out there who they're never going to like the MLS until there's promotion relegation, and I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is.
Sure. I mean, I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought the play was. I thought it was a little better than what you'd normally expect for a league coming back and playing their first match of the season. I thought the play was a little crisper than that,
especially given some of the pitches they were playing on.
Absolutely. So it was definitely good to see, and it's good to have MLS back. And we'll be covering it. Our friend Stephen Caldwell was a winner this weekend, so that was good to hear. But again, pretty good overall. Rob, I know you definitely saw the Orlando City match. I didn't know if you saw the other 2. What did you think of this weekend's play?
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with Mike in saying it was definitely a high-scoring weekend, especially for the opening week.
Yeah.
But no, I was definitely impressed with some of the results. Obviously, Orlando City, New York City FC, and other matches.
Yeah.
So
you mean low scoring though, right?
Low scoring.
Yeah, low scoring.
Yeah.
But I can't complain about it, to be fair.
Yeah, and obviously we'll get into that Orlando City match that we did as a dual podcast yesterday. So, Mike, why don't we do the trivia question quickly, and then I know I gave 2 topics on the opening thoughts segment. I didn't know if you wanted to pick one or the other, but Mike, let's do the trivia question real quick.
Okay. Hopefully you guys will be able to at least get a few of these. Which players have scored the most Premier League goals for the following clubs? Tottenham Hotspur. Now remember, this is a different player for every team. It's not I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Tottenham Hotspur, Aston Villa, Everton, Leeds United, and Manchester City. So which players have scored the most Premier League goals for those clubs?
I won't have a guess on Leeds.
I could probably take a guess on Spurs. Jurgen Klinsmann?
Well, we'll hold all answers till the end of the show, I would say, right?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
That's the game plan. All right, and I've written down the 5 teams: Tottenham, Aston Villa, Everton, Leeds, and Man City, and its most Premier League goals. So,
yes.
And obviously that's the trick in the question.
I will say that this is, you've heard of every player.
Okay. And
I would say probably definitely Rob, because he's followed soccer since he was so little. He's seen every player, and so have all of us.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right, cool. So, of the 2 opening thoughts that we wanted to dabble in here, was there a particular one that you'd want to cover one over the other? Mike, I'm gonna leave it up to you because you are the MLS guy. So whatever you feel.
Well, with either one, we could talk about the settlement if you want.
All right, let's dabble into that at first. because a lot of people feel that, and this is the impression I got from the two guys from the two Daft Yanks yesterday, is the players still got a little hosed. So, what are your thoughts on negotiations and everything to boot?
Yeah, I would say that they didn't get what they wanted, but did anybody really think that they were going to? Because I don't think so.
Oh, I would have hoped they had gotten a little bit more. I think there's a little piece of me that agrees with Real Salt Lake's owner. I forget the gentleman's name, that basically said that the free agency argument was a little dumb because you're not really ever a free agent. You can't negotiate with Portland Timbers and then negotiate with the Seattle Sounders and negotiate with the Vancouver Whitecaps. You're negotiating with MLS. Period. End of story. Thanks for playing. So I think it's tough to have a free agent market when you're only dealing with one team or one negotiator. Okay. So I agree with you there. And I don't see promotion relegation happening anytime soon.
A little birdie has told me privately that the MLS players are now putting the fund together to take this labor battle for free agency to court the next round.
Okay. And I was going to say, and it was a comment that I made on yesterday's podcast as well, one thing that really hurt the players is the fact that they had no money to combat the owners. They couldn't sit out for weeks on end. There was just no way. They weren't financially ready to do that, and I think that cost them. And if they had the financial capability to sit out even for 2 weeks, I think it would have made a little bit of a better impression. Also, keep in mind, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. The majority of the quote-unquote owners in Major League Soccer are football owners. This soccer thing for them is sort of like a side bet, if you know what I mean. You're up at a blackjack table, you make your main bet, and you bet the sevens at the top for $1. That's kind of what MLS is to those guys, in my opinion. Because of the tens of millions they make in MLS, they're making hundreds of millions in the NFL. It's a fraction of what they make there. So this is almost like hedging their bets and filling a stadium that would normally not be full during the summer, which most of them usually own themselves. But
they're making a fraction based on a lot more capital being put out there. I would suggest the revenue return percentage-wise is pretty close to the same.
Yeah, percentage-wise. Yeah, but I think.
But you put out a lot less money to make the same return on your money as someone who's put out. The Bills, $1.4 billion.
Sure, but that's why I'm saying that it's just more of a side bet. Do you know what I mean? The return is the same percentage wise, but it's not their main breadwinner.
Right, but would you rather own a stock that's got no? It has some. McDonald's has 30,000 stores. Mm-hmm. If they open 3,000 stores a year, which they don't. Right. That's still only 10% growth. They might open 300 stores. Their growth is like 1%.
Oh, no.
So the growth going forward for the MLS, I'd say, is there's a lot more to be than there's going to be growth left in the NFL.
No, I get that. The thing is that for me, it's if we want to turn it into stocks and that sort of thing, it's like that penny stock that you buy into and you just leave it alone.
Well, I wouldn't put it quite into the penny stock category, but I would put it in the $10 to $15 stock category.
Yeah, but it's a stock that you buy that you're not worried about. It's almost like your 401k.
Right, yeah.
You throw the money into your 401k and you don't really ever think about it. It's just there, and hopefully if you make it to 65...
How many teams are owned by NFL owners?
I'd have to go and look. I'd have to look that up, but it's quite a few.
More than 10?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's definitely more than 10. Because the only one that comes to mind at the moment that's solidly in my brain is obviously Robert Kraft. But Paul Allen owns the Seattle Sounders. He also owns the Seattle Seahawks.
Owned the Sounders first, though, right?
Maybe. I can't remember.
All right.
I can't remember. Trying to think of who else, but there are the majority of... not the majority, but there is a large number of MLS owners who are also NFL owners.
Okay, so getting back to that, your point is exactly that they don't really care about the MLS?
Not that they don't really care, but they could certainly withstand a long holdout because it's not as financially important to them as, let's say, their NFL players. If the NFL walks for 2 weeks, they're going to really feel it in the pocketbook, and they will rush to the negotiating table. The MLS walks for 2 weeks, and these guys are going to be like, oh, well, maybe we'll think about it next week. They're just not. They're not as focused on their MLS ownership as they are in their NFL ownership, and rightfully so.
So, what would you like to see happen?
I would like to see the whole free agency thing turn around where these teams are making their own coin. If you know.
No, but I mean in terms of ownership. Do you wish these NFL owners would decide, okay, this isn't really worth it for me, which might happen after the next CBA, and get rid of their teams, or
no, I wouldn't.
And I don't mean get rid of them; I mean sell them, obviously, where they are still in existence and in the MLS or whatever we have at that time.
I think I'd like to see a little more diversity in the ownership.
Right.
Where maybe we don't have these rich NFL owners. Maybe we have a couple of clubs that are owned by multiple owners. Maybe like the thing
So the new two new clubs that come in are one definitely not owned by NFL, and what about Orlando?
Well, Orlando, I don't believe. No, Orlando is not owned by NFL, and this is something that I wanted to bring up.
Well, that's good. Maybe going forward.
Yeah, that one is good. This is something I mentioned yesterday. That Orlando team is the argument for promotion relegation, because you got that was a USL Pro team. Orlando City was a USL Pro team that paid their way in, so they're promotion relegation by money. But they certainly competed yesterday against a Manchester City owned side with Mix Diskerud and David Villa, and I know Frank Lampard's not there yet, but certainly a lot of soccer minds behind the soccer money in NYCFC. That's pretty inarguable. And here's a team who is, like I said, born of the promotion relegation birthright, I guess, for lack of a better term, because they've existed. Yesterday was not Orlando City Soccer Club's first match. And I believe that team is owned by a multitude of owners. It's not owned by the NFL. Now, even moving forward, the Atlanta Silverbacks are going to be coming into the league. I think it's next year, if not the year after, owned by Arthur Blank, same guy that owns the Atlanta Falcons. So, it's another NFL owner coming in. And I'm not saying we want to get rid of the NFL owners. I'm just saying that for a long, extended strike to be meaningful to where the players can start to get to what they want, you need to have people who will be affected by the strike on the ownership side. Okay, so either you need to have people that aren't so rich on the other side that can handle the losses, or two, the MLS product when it comes to that next CBA really needs to be producing some cash for these owners. Okay, it needs to be.
Oh, sorry.
It needs to be valuable to lose value.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's.
But none of this has ever happened through a CBA in any sport, including the the Bosman transfer rule that opened up Europe. Right. It's all happened through courts. It's been an individual in almost every case who's taken the league and their team to court, and then the courts have ruled on them. And
it's going to have to happen that way again, no doubt about it.
Right. I don't think it'll ever be achieved through a CBA full free agency. No owner is going to do that unless they're forced to.
I agree. So, Rob, we've kept you a little quiet over there. Any thoughts on the opening thought?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with both Mike and you, Joe. It should definitely be in regards to the I guess you could say the wages in MLS, or should I say the what the players wanted in the labor negotiations.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I don't have much to say, considering I don't know much about the about this whole labor negotiation situation. But like I said, I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Let me just add that an 11th hour agreement was reached. Mm-hmm. It is a 5-year deal. The league obviously wanted an 8-year deal to coincide with the new TV package. They weren't, so that wasn't able to be given. We can also say that according to reports that there is free agency for players 28 years or older who have at least 8 years of MLS experience. Free agency will come with a cap. The minimum league salary will jump to $60,000. And the MLS salary cap is expected to rise significantly from around $3.1 million. We don't have the new number yet, but remember, DPs are not a part of that salary cap. They're allowed to sign them for whatever amount they want outside of the salary cap. That's still at 3 players.
Yep.
And I think that's about what we've got out of this.
Okay. So, and the other thing that we got is live soccer for the season.
Yeah, which is what I wanted.
The best, right? The best part of them all is what it came down to. So, well, let's let's kick it off then. Let's close our opening thoughts, and move on to our league coverage again. Like we had mentioned earlier, we don't have any specific predictions that we can offer as I forgot to mention them last week. So we'll just have to move forward with our prediction, or at least our predictions this week, which we'll do in our closing thoughts, and we'll do our.
I made my predictions, so we can use my terrible predictions. I don't even know the scores of most of these games, so we'll just see how I did.
All right, yeah, let's do it. All right, well, let's head over to La Liga because we didn't even give them what the game of the week was, so which I do have them written down. But Rob, I'm going to throw it over to you to give us the scores and highlights from Spain.
Was the game of the week Atletico and Valencia?
Yes, it certainly was. It certainly was.
Yeah, so I do have the scores for what I had. Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll find the scores obviously now. So,
okay.
Rob, go ahead, take it away.
Yep, absolutely. To start off the weekend in Spain, we had Levante with a 2-1 win over Eibar. Another loss for the, I guess, surprising Eibar so far this season. Don't you think?
Yeah.
They've lost 7 of their last matches in La Liga.
Unbelievable, and they were riding high for a little while. Now we're currently looking at them.
They're 3 points off a relegation spot.
Yeah, that's a no good, like we like to say in Italy.
I know they're our team and all, but I think maybe we're looking at their real form now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we definitely could be doing that.
On Saturday, we had Sevilla winning Deportivo La Coruña in a high-scoring match, 4-3.
Oh, wow.
Elche with a 1-0 victory over Almeria. Granada, 1-0 victory over Malaga. And the shocking result of the weekend, another horrible result for Real Madrid as they lost 1-0 to Athletic Bilbao in the Basque County.
That must upset you, Rob.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
It was
especially after this next match I'm going to talk about.
Rob was crying all weekend.
On Sunday we had an early morning one. Thankfully, I tried to wake up early because I had to cover this match for Valve. Barcelona 6-1 over Rayo Vallecano at the Camp Nou. A hat-trick from Messi, a brace from Luis Suarez, and a goal from Gerard Piqué.
So where's the hat-tricks now between the two?
I think they're tied.
Yes, they are. I'll mention that after I get over.
Oh, sorry, Rob.
It's fine. Following that match, we had Real Sociedad with a 1-0 victory over Espanyol. Villarreal 4-1 over Celta Vigo. And the match of the week, like you previously mentioned, Atletico Madrid 1-1 draw over Valencia.
Oh, I had a 2-1 Atletico.
You had Atletico winning that?
Yeah, 2-1.
All right. So I probably would have had Atletico winning that one as well. And Valencia went down to 10 men in that I see. I don't know who got the red card and where. I'm looking that up right now as we speak. But Rob, please continue with the other scores while I look up the red card.
Yeah, absolutely. For the at the top of the table, we had Barcelona now with 62 points, having leapfrogged Real Madrid following the loss, and for the first time since El Clasico, where they lost that top spot. Mm-hmm. Real Madrid in second with 61. Atletico Madrid in third with 55 points. In fourth, Valencia with 54. In fifth, Sevilla with 49. And in 6th, Villarreal with 48. Rounding up the bottom of the table, we had Cordoba in 18th, Granada in 22nd, in 19th with 22 points, and in 18th place, Almeria with 24 points. As you previously mentioned, Mike, yes, Joe is correct. Messi and Ronaldo are now tied for the top goal scorer in La Liga, both of them with 30 goals of the season.
How about hat tricks? Aren't they in a battle for all-time hat tricks?
I thought they were tied for hat tricks, actually.
Nope. In fact, funny you mentioned about hat tricks. That hat trick that he scored against Rayo Vallecano has made him the all-time hat trick scorer in La Liga history.
Okay.
Wow. And how about games played between those two? Does Madrid still have a game in hand or no?
Nope. They played the same games. 26.
All right.
For that red card in the Valencia match, it was Javi Fuego in the 90th minute. It was yellow card accumulation as he had picked up a yellow 2 minutes earlier. So looks like there was some fireworks at the end of that.
Funny about the gap. Ronaldo for the top goal scorer, it goes Ronaldo and Messi with 30, and in a 13 goal gap in third is Neymar with 17, and fourth is Griezmann with 14.
Wow.
So it's a huge gap. So definitely that third place, I guess you could say third place trophy for top goals.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be a battle.
I was going to say, just looking, Griezmann on 14, Baca on 14, Benzema on 13, Bueno on 13, Mandzukic on 12, Vieto, who people have been talking about a lot lately from Villarreal, on 12, and Gareth Bale on 10 goals. Top 10.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. This is and Suarez, I think, is going to be joining that list soon.
Yeah.
If given the form he is in.
Also,
I think he scored. What is it now? 7 goals. 7 goals so far.
Oh wow!
So he could definitely catch up to be top 10.
There, sure. Getafe with a 2-1 victory over Cordoba today. I don't know if you mentioned that one.
Yep. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but Getafe with a 2-1 victory over Cordoba.
Cool. And our preview match of the week that we'll talk about at the end of the show, just so that we get the matchup out there. Rob, did you see it there in the plan?
Yes, I did.
So you might want to mention the matchup?
Yep. The matchup is Eibar hosting Barcelona.
There we go. Because Eibar is the official team of Low Limit Football. So. And
quite the right choice because for the after that match, obviously next week, it's going to be some interesting match.
Yeah, some classic something.
Some classic. Mike, have you heard about this? Some classic game happening in Spain.
The classic.
The classic.
Oh, yeah. I'll be ready.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, all right, that'll do it. And we'll give you our thoughts and predictions on Eibar Barcelona at the end of the show. So,
all
right, let's go over to Ligue 1. And let me just call my scores up here quickly. We'll get that rolling for everybody. And
our game of the week was Montpellier-Lyon.
That is correct. So, scores during the week in the Ligue 1. On Wednesday, we had Evian 1-0 over Lorient. On Friday, Marseille really coming out of their doldrums, 6-1 over Toulouse. On Saturday, Paris Saint-Germain 4-1 over Lens. Reims 3-1 over Nantes. Evian losing at home to Monaco 3-1. Bastia 2-1 over Nice. Rennes 1-0 over Metz. Bordeaux 2-1 over Caen. And then on Sunday, Saint-Etienne 2-0 over Lorient. Guingamp losing at home 1-0 to Lille. And Montpellier losing 5-1 to Lyon. I'm just going to go and call up the stats of that particular match here. If you'll just bear with me a second. Because 5-1, obviously Lyon really putting it on Montpellier. I think we would have imagined this match to be a little closer than that particular scoreline. But Montpellier opening the scoring in the 6th minute by Lucas Barrios. And then we had, and then obviously Lyon poured it on. Alexander Lacazette with a penalty in the 30th. Nabil Fekir in the 40th minute with a goal. Fekir in the 72nd minute. Tolisso with a goal in the 90th, and then Alexander Lacazette soon after that with his second goal. Shots on this one were 15-10 in favor of Lyon, 8-4 on target in favor of Lyon. Lyon holding 36% of the possession. So, Mike, what do you got for me?
Lyon 2-1.
Okay. Scoreline right, over-under 2.5 correct. Lyon just adding a little insult to injury. So, after 28 matches played, except for Monaco and Montpellier, who've only played 27. We have Lyon in first place, 57 points. Paris Saint-Germain 1 point behind on 56. Marseille on 53 points. Monaco in fourth on 47. Saint-Etienne in fifth on 46. Bordeaux in sixth on 45 points. Montpellier in seventh on 42. Lille in eighth place on 38, tied with Rennes in ninth. And rounding out the top 10 is a tie between Bastia and Nantes for 36 points each. Propping up the bottom of the table, we have Metz on 22 points and Lens on 22 points as well. Then 7 points up to Toulouse in the last relegation spot. Lorient just outside the relegation zone on 31 points. We have Evian on 32. Nice and Caen on 34 points apiece. 13th place, Reims and Guingamp on 35 points each, propping up the bottom 10, or rounding out the bottom 10. In our featured match of the week in Ligue 1, we have a great one for you. Marseille at home to Lyon, that we'll preview a little later on. Giving you the top goal scorers because I like what you did there, Rob. Alexander Lacazette leading the way on 23 goals. Andre Gignac on 16. Zlatan Ibrahimovic on 12 goals. Fekir on 11. Beauvau of Guingamp on 11. Yedder from Toulouse on 9 goals, tied with Ntep from Rennes. Roland from Bordeaux on 9 goals as well. And then rounding out the top 10, Edison Cavani on 8 goals, and Lucas Barrios from Montpellier also had a goal this week on 8 goals as well. So that will round out our French league coverage for the moment. And Rob, I'm going to send it back to you for the Bundesliga.
Yep, that we shall. Just let me load this up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In the Bundesliga, we had Stuttgart 0-0 draw over Hertha Berlin. On Saturday, we had Hamburg FC finally getting a result, drawing Borussia Dortmund in their, I believe it was their first draw in 4 matches.
I did actually see a little bit of this match, and Dortmund to me didn't look as high-flying as they've looked in the past 3 or 4 matches I've seen out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Augsburg with a 1-0 shocking win over Wolfsburg.
In our featured game of the week.
And that was going to be our featured game of the week. That's correct.
Breaking the streak
Yes.
that Wolfsburg had. What was it, like 9 games, 8 games?
So without a loss, I believe that was that long, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So who would have thought it would be Augsburg breaking that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The simulator would have thought.
Oh, really?
Really?
They had a 2-1 Augsburg.
Wow.
The
The simulator would have had it.
Hey. Bayern Munich with a 3-1 victory over Hanover. Werder Bremen 1-0 over Freiburg. Mainz 2-2 over Borussia Mönchengladbach. On Sunday, we had FC Cologne 4-2 over Eintracht Frankfurt. 3-0 for Bayer Leverkusen against Paderborn. And that's it. Running up the table, still Bayern Munich with 61 points. In second, Wolfsburg with 50. In third, Borussia Mönchengladbach with 41. In fourth, Bayer Leverkusen with 39. In fifth, Schalke with 38. And in sixth, Augsburg with 38. And for Borussia Dortmund, they're still mid-table in 10th with 29 points. Rounding up the top goal scorers, we have still Alexander Meyer with 18. Ian Robin with 17. And Bastos with 13 at the moment.
He's moving up the ladder there, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not, but definitely surprising not to see him score or make any contribution in the game on Saturday.
Yep.
So it'll definitely be interesting. Our match of the week will be Borussia Dortmund against FC Cologne.
Which will be a good one as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for our German coverage. Let's head over to Italy where they've been playing. They actually just wrapped up their last match of the week just a few minutes ago.
What a weekend!
Certainly was. We did actually see Parma return to the pitch. But on Saturday, Sampdoria 2-0 over Cagliari. AC Milan and Verona drawing 2-2. I believe, if I remember correctly, I just want to look this up before I go on in the scores. That was tied up on a very late goal. By Lopez in the 90th plus 4th minute for Verona. So AC Milan That match was at the San Siro, looking like they were going to be moving ahead and winning that one, and then only blowing it in the last second of the match. So, again, drawing 2-2 AC Milan Verona. On Sunday, Cesena and Palermo 0-0 draw. Chievo and Roma with a 0-0 draw. Not surprising that Roma's really been running lately like that. Udinese 3-2 over Torino in a surprise upset there. We had Empoli and Genoa play to a 1-1 draw. Again, the aforementioned Parma coming back on the pitch and drawing Atalanta 0-0. And I do have one other tidbit of news to pass along after. Napoli 2-2 draw with Internazionale in the featured match of at least the city. Our featured match was Lazio Fiorentina, which was played today, and it was a 4-0 victory for Lazio. Mike, yes. I can only imagine that they had Fiorentina on this one. The simulator did.
2-1 Lazio.
2-1 Lazio, so they had the winner. Wow. I with Fiorentina's run of form lately, I would have certainly taken it. In their previous 5 matches, there were 3 wins and 2 draws. I certainly would have taken Fiorentina in this one. And then closing it out, Juventus earlier today with a 1-0 victory over Sassuolo. So, excuse me, going back into the news.
You mentioned Lazio.
Wasn't no.
Yeah, Lazio Fiorentina.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, that was our feature match of the week. Now, the tidbit of news that I want to pass along, I believe it was Cagliari fired their coach, who was I think it was Gianfranco Zola.
Gianfranco Zola, that's correct.
Yep, they fired him earlier. I believe it was yesterday, sometime either yesterday. I believe, yesterday after their 2-0 loss to Sampdoria. He had lost. I think he was their manager for 7 matches, 2 draws and 5 losses. So 2 draws and 5 losses in their last 7 matches for Cagliari, losing 3 straight as well, and currently in the relegation zone. They sacked Zola today. So going to the table quickly, we have Juventus leading the way. Again, we've already called this league done and dusted. 61 points, 11 points now ahead of Roma on 50 points. Napoli in 3rd place on 46, tied with Lazio. In 5th place, Sampdoria with 42 points, tied with Fiorentina. 7th place, we have Genoa on 37 points, and Torino and Inter tied with 36 points each, and then rounding out the top 10 is Palermo and AC Milan on 35 points apiece. Propping up the bottom of the table, we have Parma on 11 points, actually drawing their last 2 played matches, gentlemen. I wanted to mention that. Cesena on 20 points, Cagliari on 20 points, Atalanta just outside the relegation zone on 24 points. Chievo on 26. Empoli and Verona on 29 points, as well as Sassuolo, who's lost 4 straight. And Udinese on 31 points, rounding out the bottom 10. Our featured match of the week in Italy this week is going to be Roma-Sampdoria. Samp, of course, winning their first 2 matches of the new year over the past 2 weeks. Roma still in their dreadful run of form with 2 draws. The goal scorers, or the leading goal scorers, chasing the scoring title in Italy. We have a tie for the lead between Mauro Icardi and Carlos Tevez on 15 goals each. Then we have Jeremy Menez on 13 goals and Gonzalo Higuain on 13 goals. Paulo Dybala at Palermo, who's been the rumor of many transfers lately, is currently on 12 goals. Luca Toni on 10 goals. Quagliarella on 10 goals with Antonio Di Natale. 9th place, Jose Callejon on 9 goals, and Miroslav Kosa rounding out the top 10 with 8 goals so far this season. So that'll do it for Italy. Let me send it over to you, Captain Mike.
So you want me to do Tuesdays and Wednesdays games, or do you want me to do the FA Cup, or do you want me to do both?
Let's do both and start wherever you like.
Okay, so I'll go through this quickly then. We started on Tuesday in the Premier League, midweek games because of the FA Cup. Aston Villa, surprising big win over West Bromwich Albion 2-1. Surprising to me anyways, but 2 goals for Aston Villa. Hull City drew Sunderland 1-1, and the final game on Wednesday was Southampton getting back on the winning track with a 1-0 win over Crystal Palace. On Wednesday, Manchester City hammered Leicester 2-0. Manchester United was able to beat Newcastle 1-0 in a away win at St. James's Park. Arsenal beat QPR 2-1. Stoke City beat I don't know what the word is, but Everton certainly not the team they were last year, and they lost to Stoke 2-0. In our featured game of the week, or what would have been our featured game of the week, Tottenham beat Swansea 3-2, and the simulator had Tottenham winning 2-1. So that was a correct score, and I don't know what the over and under was. I assume it was probably 2.5, so it was right on that too.
Yep.
West Ham lost to Chelsea at home 1-0, unfortunately. So Chelsea still with the game in hand on Man City. And the final game of the week was Liverpool beating Burnley 2-0. I guess I'll do the tables and then I'll do a quick recap of the FA Cup. At the top of the table is Chelsea, who's only played 27 games, one less than every team in the league except for bottom place Leicester. In second place is Manchester City on 58 points. Third, Arsenal on 54 points. And in fourth place is Manchester United on 53 points. And rounding out fifth and sixth is Liverpool with 51, Tottenham with 50. Propping up the table in 20th place is Leicester on 18 points. Burnley and Queen's Park both tied on 22 points. Queen's Park ahead on goal difference by 2. And the relegation zone amongst 17 and 16 has definitely got a bit of a bigger gap now as Aston Villa climbs out on 25 points and Sunderland remains in 16th on 26, and Hull City on 27 points, although I would still say none of these teams are safe all the way up to and including Everton.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
And quickly now to go over the FA Cup. We had Bradford holding Reading to a goalless draw, and that will set up a quarterfinal replay. The dates are quite far away. They haven't really been announced exactly, but I think the replay dates are April 18th and 19th, so quite a ways away for that. The next game was Aston Villa again, beating West Brom 2-0, so 2 wins in a row for Aston Villa over West Brom, 4 goals in their last 2 games, and they've now booked a semi-final spot at Wembley. And the game that Ben would have been most interested in this weekend was Liverpool and Blackburn, drawing 1-1 at the Anfield, and Blackburn forcing a replay back at Ewood Park.
Yes.
And again, the date not exactly known. And in today's game, Arsenal beat Manchester United, knocking Manchester United out of the FA Cup with a 2-1 win at Old Trafford. And the draw for the next round is going to be Bradford or Reading versus Arsenal, and Aston Villa on the road versus Blackburn or Liverpool.
Wow.
Surely a happy Ben this weekend.
Sure. And and what's great is we still have a rooting interest for Blackburn in this tournament.
Definitely, yeah. The only team and I can still vote for Bradford or Reading. The other teams, God, they're yeah. Arsenal, Liverpool, ugh.
I agree.
I have nothing against Aston Villa, so Aston Villa Blackburn looks good to me.
And Juan Arango just tweeted, have no clue what we're talking about on Low Limit Football. That's what'll make it great. And that's why that guy is one of the best guests you can ever have. Seriously, and I'll certainly follow up with a tweet just like that. So,
So what did we want to talk about now?
I'll tell you what. While we're at it, because we've got a few minutes before we've got Juan Arango, is we did that interview with Ryan Penkarski earlier yesterday. So I know the interview is about 10 minutes long, and that'll take us right up to Juan Arango, and it'll give us a chance to get some thoughts on the overall interview. So what do you say we play the interview now, and then we can chat a few minutes about it?
Sounds good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So this coming up now is our interview with Ryan Penkarski from yesterday.
Yep.
And joining us now on Low Limit Football is Canadian soccer sensation Penkarski. Ryan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good. Thanks for joining us. We're really happy you came on. First question I want to ask you, I was reading over your bio a little bit here. Obviously, if I remember correctly, if I did the math right, you are 17 years old now, correct?
I'm a 16-year-old footballer.
Oh, you're still 16. Okay. But you've got one more year of high school, and then you'll be going on to college ball, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Before I get into the college questions for you, I'd like to know what's your inspiration? What was kind of the first person or thing or event that actually turned you on to a love of football?
I think it was my father. Back when I was young, we were playing in the backyard just kicking a ball, and I kind of fell in love with the game that way.
Okay. And then just carried it on with it from there.
Yep, and then I went into the competitive levels with Oak Ridge's soccer club and slowly built my way up to the higher ranks.
Okay. If you had to put your finger on a particular player, because I know reading your bio that you are a center back, if you had to put your finger on a particular player and say, that's the guy I would most like to play like, give me a name. Who would that be?
I wouldn't particularly say a defender, but I'd say Lionel Messi is a very big inspiration of mine.
I was going to say, I would guess 99% of the people that we'd ever ask that question would be Lionel Messi, and then the other 1% would probably be Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah. So moving forward from there, the other thing that I personally, it's in your bio, and I don't think people appreciate it enough, is the fact that you said that you have very good ball control, but the key here is that you're ambidextrous. You can shoot with both feet. I think that skill is lost on a lot of young footballers moving through the ranks, even up through college these days. So my question to you would be, how did you become ambidextrous? What did you do to make yourself equally effective with your right foot and your left foot?
Yeah, in training when I was young, I always used to work with both my left and my right foot. You see players nowadays, even in the professional levels, some of them can't do with both feet. They can't play or shoot with both feet. So back when I was young, I kept playing both left and right, and now in my game I can use both left and right foot whenever the ball comes to whichever foot.
Okay, cool. I'm going to turn you over to Rob Rojas. I know Rob's got some generalized questions for you. So Rob, take it away.
Yes, hi, Ryan. Thanks for coming on. My first question to you is, what do you think you can provide to Canadian soccer in the future?
I feel that I have the technical and tactical ability to be like that next superstar player. Hopefully, whether that works here with going to the U.S. university or college in the NCAA or going to Europe, I feel that I can be that next person for Canada that says, hey, this is the time to shine. This is our time to be in the next World Cup qualifying scheme and things like that.
Just sticking over to Canadian soccer right now, what do you think needs to be made in Canadian soccer for a team such as Canada to qualify for a World Cup?
I think we need that passion more. You see the States got that passion in them for the World Cup in the previous results. You see versus Belgium how there were tons of people watching, and it just comes from the inside, I believe. I believe that Canada has the technical skill to do it. The players are here. It's just that we need that passion, we need that heart, we need that drive from the whole country itself, not just the players on the field, but the supporters. And with that, I feel that we can do a very good job in the future.
Is there any other names that people should be paying attention to in Canada that might be the next rising star?
I haven't heard. I'm not too particular on any particular players so far, but there's quite a few coming through the ranks along on my team and in the leagues around here, not just in Ontario, but all over Canada.
Okay. So I guess this is more of a personal question, but what is your dream exactly? What club do you want to end up playing for? Where do you want to play at exactly?
Hopefully I go to the NCAA in the States, get a scholarship to go there, go through there, go into the MLS through the Super Draft, hopefully get selected by a team there, and then build my way up through, get on the starting lineup, and hopefully make it to Europe one day.
And just one last question. What can you really provide to show scouts that you're the real thing, you're the real deal, and you want to be the next big player coming out of Canada?
I believe that I'm a leader from the back. I'm very vocal, controlling. I like using both feet, as I said before. And yeah, I just help my team out with everything, stay positive, and keep the group controlled all the time.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Brian, I do have a couple more questions before we let you go. And again, thanks for joining us tonight. My first question is, obviously, you're in position right now to be a part of the U17 national team in Canada and the U20 national team. Any shot of you getting on those two teams anytime soon?
Right now, I'm keeping my international status open.
Okay.
So I have no comment on that.
All right. Nope, that's fine. And that actually leads me to my second question. Somebody that's been the source of a little bit of controversy in terms of Canadian football recently is one Tesho Akindele, who I believe was born in Canada but pretty much grew up in the United States. And when he had to make his choice between choosing between the two, chose to go to the United States and be a part of the U.S. men's national team. So my question to you is, what were your thoughts on what Tesho did there, and do you see people doing that where they kind of are born in one place but spend so much time in the other that that they decide to change nationalities?
Yeah, I think he's playing for FC Dallas right now.
That's correct.
I just feel that when he was young, he didn't really feel a part of the Canada program. I feel that maybe he wasn't treated the way he should have been for a quality player like him. But nowadays I see some of my friends playing for the likes of Jamaica, USA, Trinidad, and many more. And I just feel that, if as a country, for Canada, if we can all come together, all get that passion in us, I believe that we can have many players make their step from the first team and go and become first team players and do very well in the future.
Do you think in terms of Canadian football there needs to be a change at the coaching ranks where they bring in some higher profile names?
I believe now when they bought in Benito Flora, I think that they've done a great job, and so far, with their results, they're doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. I feel that if they can get a few more friendlies in, I do know that Junior Hoylett, if he decides to come to Canada, he'll make a good impression. And, hopefully more players like that will join us in the future.
Cool. My last question before we let you go tonight is, obviously we talked about your ambitions of coming to college in the United States, playing in the United States, and then working your way up through the Super Draft in the MLS. Is there a particular college that you have applied to or are looking at, or a couple of different big name colleges that you're looking at the moment?
I've been contacted by a few so far. I'm not too sure which ones yet. It's just in some conversations, but hopefully for the future we'll decide that out shortly. All
right. If there was a favorite school, what favorite school would you give us a name?
I don't really have a spot yet right now.
Not yet. Okay. All right. Well, again, Ryan, thank you for joining us tonight on Low Limit Football. We do wish you the best of luck, and check back in with us again. We'd love to have you back on, and hopefully things go well, and we'll see you in the United States soon.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan, for coming on.
And that was Ryan Penkarski that we interviewed yesterday. Certainly a well-composed young gentleman who really gave a good interview. At least I thought so. Rob, obviously you and I did the interview yesterday. What are your thoughts on what he had to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure he has a lot of confidence in himself in regards to what type of player he is, what he can contribute to Canadian soccer, and it was a good pleasure to hopefully, if he does achieve that goal of becoming a great player, we would have been the first to speak to him.
Yeah, and that's certainly going to be fun if he does make it through the muck of getting up and getting into some of these other leagues and being able to advance his professional career. Mike. Obviously, being north of the border yourself, a Canadian, familiar with the Tesho Akindele situation for sure. What are your thoughts on what young Ryan had to say?
Is that what we have going on here again? Was he hedging his bets on his international? Wow.
I did feel like that. I did feel like he was hedging a little bit. But
what does anyone else know? What other country he might be eligible to play for?
I don't. I didn't get that. I didn't get that out of him. But I would imagine if he comes over to the United States and stays, establishes residency, even switches nationalities where he becomes an American citizen. I certainly could see the potential for him trying to play for the United States or something along those types of lines. Do you know what I mean?
Good. Oh, okay. Well, good luck to him because I don't think Tesho Akindele is going to play for the United States. So
not anytime soon. There's
he was on the wasn't he on the?
He'll never be in a tournament. He'll never be. He's not going to be at the World Cup, in my opinion. Tishu Akindele.
No, you don't think so, huh?
If he wants to play a few friendly games with the United States, fine.
They might take him on. Yeah, I found that not necessarily that line of questioning, but the line of answers. I found that rather interesting. With him is that
I find it off-putting, actually.
For me, he was non-committal about that stuff. He's also non-committal about the colleges that either were interested in him or that he was interested in. I found that kind of strange. I mean, I would have coached.
I think, that would be my opinion. Which is, I guess that's the point in time. And I don't even know. Maybe there's some NCAA rules that prevent him from talking about it at this time.
Oh, that's there could be potential as well.
Unless you're committed.
Right, unless you're committed. Which may be the case, and he just can't, he can't talk about it at the moment. There's certainly, you've got to remember he was, if I remember correctly from the interview, he was a high school junior, so he's got one more year.
Yeah, 1 more year.
Before he does head over to, to college and to have to make that decision. So, he does have some time still.
Maybe it's just something that he doesn't really want to think about at this point in time, considering the offers are still going to be there when he does have to think about it.
Right.
Yep.
So, but I mean, we wish him the best of luck. Hopefully, like we said, we do get to see him, and then we can sit here and say, you know what? Yeah, we had him on our show. We interviewed him, and and
all the better if it's in a Canada shirt the next time.
What position? He's a center back, right?
Yes, he's a center back.
We could definitely get one. We could definitely get one of those.
Yeah. So, guys, I've gotten word that our next guest is actually ready. I don't know. Do you want to jump right into Juan? I know this is going to be a fun ride once we get him on here. So.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get him on.
That's my favorite part. So let's let's add him in here and let's get Juan going. So I'm just going to put this up here quickly. But joining us now on Low Limit Football is the world famous Juan Arango. Juan, how are you tonight? It's Joe from Low Limit Football.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. I'm glad you could join us again. I've said that whenever we have you on, it's a fun time no matter what. When we first had you on, this has got to be a few months ago now, we used to try to be, somewhat serious in our interviews, and you were the first guy that came across and said, let's go have some fun, who cares? Let's just talk and have some fun. And I think from that point on, we've always treated it that way, where we try to have some fun. So we want to thank you for loosening us up a little bit.
Yeah, man. Look, it's all about that. I mean, there's people out there, and I watch TV all the time, that make it sound like football is like going through a divorce, man. It's pretty brutal, but it's football in the end, it's fun. It's supposed to be that. So why not treat it as such,
It's only a divorce because we're so married to the damn sport. That's why.
There's times that you want to divorce your team, especially sometimes when they struggle. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And I'm hoping my Juventus side next week does well, or else I'll be looking for another divorce this year. So.
Yeah.
But actually, speaking of Champions Leagues, I know you were tweeting a few weeks ago that you were actually covering the CONCACAF Champions League, correct?
Yeah, I was in Costa Rica about 2 weeks ago. I was very lucky to see Saprissa face Club America down in Costa Rica. It was ended up being a blowout. Pretty much a formality there towards the end. But then the following day, I went to Liga to Alajuelense and got to see them pretty much smack down DC United.
You know what? I'm glad you got to see both those matches. I want to talk about the second match first, the DC United Alajuelense match. To me, that last goal that Alajuelense scored really, really late in the match really ended it for DC United. And I remember sitting at my computer tweeting because DC United scored late to make the match 4-2. And I tweeted that goal was big. Just tweeting that was a big goal. And then they come right back down the pitch and they score to make it 5-2. And I wrote, and that goal was bigger. Just a 3-goal, deficit to overcome, whether it was home goals or road goals, it didn't matter. Just 3 goals to overcome were just ridiculous. I wanted your thoughts on the first leg of that matchup.
Well, I mean, it was encapsulated pretty much at the press conference. I was there, and Ben Olsen comes out and says, we just couldn't take it. We weren't fast enough. The rhythm of the match that was implemented pretty much by Alajuelense ended up being the difference. I mean, they just couldn't keep up with it. There was a certain energy within the stadium. It wasn't a full house, but you knew there was something going on there, especially when Arrieta comes out and fans just really just rip into him.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely are murdering him, yelling at him and stuff like that. He turns around, kisses his badge. Of course, him being a former Saprissa player, that has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean, it's again part of the simplicity of football. They just got outworked. They were outrun. They were out hustled. They were out everything on that night. So I mean, you knew exactly. There was nothing. I mean, I've had a lot of people tell, "Oh, it was a turf." No, that's BS. It's not true. If you're good, you can play anywhere.
Right.
It doesn't come down to turf beating you the way that DC United got beat that day.
Yeah. Well, the thing, when people start blaming the turf, I laugh at that because last time I checked, both teams have to play on the same turf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
Is somebody magical on one side where the other team is not magical, that they can play on a muddy track where the other ones can only play on a hard, dry track? I mean, I've never liked the pitch wasn't the thing. Even Juventus Galatasaray last year in the Champions League, I never agreed with the fact that they said, "Oh, Juve had to play in that lousy pitch." No, both teams have to play in that lousy pitch. It's how it is. I
mean, Juve have won a Scudetti in several occasions on muddy pitches.
Oh yeah.
How come that wasn't a factor back in the day either?
Right. I just those excuses are exactly what they are, excuses, and they shouldn't hide behind them. So there was no excuse. They got handled by Alajuelense. DC United did that night. I expected a lot more out of DC, and I understand that they were still in their preseason. They don't have any matches under their belts. Whatever. I mean, I expected a lot more from the team that finished top of the Eastern Conference in MLS.
But at the same time, that's the same criticism that's being sent in Pachuca's direction. Pachuca, in Mexico, you heard a lot of Mexican media saying, "You guys lost to a team that's in preseason."
No,
and that really stunned. That really was something that stunned them quite a bit over at Pachuca. But Pachuca have had their struggles in league play as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only really solid team, and I'll probably say solid with a big asterisk right next to them, is America.
Yeah,
America have been struggling in league play as well. So much so that now today there was a report coming out that America might be leaving Estadio Azteca and going to play in Querétaro or something like that for next year. As they're going to start remodeling Estadio Azteca in the next few days or next few months, should I say? Oh,
geez, talk about a quote unquote home field advantage. I would say Azteca is one of the biggest ones in the world. Whether we're talking about the Mexican national team or we're talking about Club America, that's just such a tough place to play that it would be sad for them to leave the stadium.
Well, no, they're just leaving to get it. I mean, look, whether they're talking about they're looking to modernize it. One of the big things that's going on in Mexican football right now is that a lot of the stadiums are being modernized. Of course, Chivas get their own new stadium. Right. Santos Laguna start to remodel their stadium. Puebla start. So it's this move towards modernizing a lot of the venues in Mexico. And Azteca next year turns 50.
Okay.
So
wow,
one of the things that really it hasn't happened has been that renewal ever since the World Cup in '86. You've seen it kind of start to not fall apart, but you start seeing age becoming a factor.
Mm-hmm.
What Televisa, obviously the Mexican network that owns America, wants to do is to make it modern, make it do like a shopping mall, a mega parking lot, those types of things to make it a 21st century top of the line, top level venue.
Yeah, so you're seeing a modernization down in Mexico in those sides then.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right, I'm going to throw you over to Rob Rojas. I know Rob definitely has some questions for you, and then he'll send you back my way. So, Rob, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Juan. Just mentioning your question about playing in the stadium in Costa Rica. Do you believe that is the case for a certain stadium in South America called the Estadio Hernando Siles in Bolivia?
I I mean, yeah, that's an advantage. I mean, you talked to a lot of Argentines. When the Argentine national team goes to play at La Paz, same thing. I mean, it's the altitude. I don't know if it's an intimidating venue as far as fans are concerned. It's not intimidating from that aspect, but from the altitude, yeah, many do worry and many do want to avoid playing in La Paz. But what's the other option? I mean, where are you going to go to Oruro, which is even higher? Where are you going to go? Cochabamba? Yeah, it's a little bit lower, but not that much. It's a valley per se, but it's going. So I mean, and the logistics aren't there to have teams travel from whatever place they're going to La Paz or to anywhere else. From an international standpoint, it is. I mean, you go to a place like Mexico City, you go to a place like La Paz, and one of the things you start noticing is that you do lose your breath a little bit. So yeah, it is something you worry about. I mean, it was in Copa Libertadores. Anderson, the player that used to play for Manchester United, within the first 36 minutes, he's on an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
It's a very daunting task to go there. Yeah, it is. But as far as intimidating, I don't know. I think there's stadiums in South America that are more intimidating than that.
But that leads me to my next question. What do you believe are those stadiums?
Oh, La Bombonera.
I was just going to say the Bombonera.
Would that be the one stadium?
La Bombonera. You could probably go, Estadio Morumbi. You could go to Defensores del Chaco.
Hey.
One of those stadiums. But
I'm surprised on that third mention.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm surprised about the Defensores del Chaco.
Yeah. It's a pretty daunting experience there. I mean, Centenario, yeah, it does have it. It does have that environment. Going to Lima, well, actually going to Lima and having Peru play Chile, that's a place I would not want to be. But to me, it's La Bombonera, and it begins and ends at La Bombonera. I mean, if you could go to, look, this is just my opinion though. You could go to the Bernabeu. You can go to the Camp Nou. You can go anywhere in Europe. No comparison, man. La Bombonera is absolutely one of the most intense places that you can go and watch a football match ever.
Especially if it's a Super Clásico.
Yeah, especially if it's a Super Clásico. I've been to La Bombonera for a Copa Libertadores final, and it's a feeling that you think you're going to see something special. It's a combination of that. Like, you're going to see something special, and you're going to die.
But still a good experience, no matter what. That leads me to my next question to you is: what have you enjoyed the most about the Copa Libertadores so far?
I guess in a way, the unexpected nature of the tournament. Last year I was saying Cruzeiro was going to be one of the candidates to win the tournament, and well, I was completely wrong. And for the first time ever, you see a 15 and a 16 seed play in a final. So I mean, you have that. You have that you can be the best team in a group stage, but then after everything is set up in the knockout stage, you could get knocked out in the first round by the number 16 seed. Now, obviously, the format in which those knockout stages are set up completely different to Champions League, as you have a more, I guess you can compare it more to college basketball here in the United States, where you have a 1 through 16 seed and anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly believe that in the Copa Libertadores, anything can happen in comparison to, like, say, the Champions League, where more is expected, Yeah,
but you know what? That's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because it also reflects on the financial state of many clubs and the actual present state of football in South America. So, I mean, you have the complete opposite. I mean, you have teams on shoestring budgets trying to make ends meet that are trying to be competitive. While in Europe, I mean, you can pretty much name 4 or 5 teams, and you're pretty much spot on as far as who's going to be in the final, or who's going to win it.
Okay, just sticking to South American football for a few more questions. Who do you believe are the dark horses, or I guess you could say the favorites for the Copa America this summer?
For the Copa America, you know what? That's going to be a sensational tournament. I mean, this tournament and this Gold Cup, these two tournaments are going to be so awesome to watch because of that, because of the uncertainty, and because you have such competitive sides going into this tournament. I mean, you have 4 teams in Chile, in Brazil, in Argentina, and in Colombia, and you can even throw Uruguay into the mix, that are going to be there. And if any of those 5 win the tournament, I don't think there's going to be somebody that's going to say, "Wow, that came out of nowhere." You really can't say that right now in this coming into this Copa America. Same thing with the Gold Cup. You have 3 teams instead of, okay, fine, it's going to be the U.S. and Mexico. Now you got to throw Costa Rica in the mix. But going back to Copa America, you see that there's just so much competitiveness at that top level, and then you have teams like Paraguay that are looking to bounce back under Ramon Diaz. That you see a Peruvian side, you don't know what to expect from them under Ricardo Gareca. Although there's talk that he was looking to see if he could get Alfredo Morales to change from the U.S. to Peru. You see a Venezuela that you don't know what to expect from Venezuela. And so you see all these teams in South America. Anybody can beat each other on any given day. But still, you have such a high level of teams playing in this tournament that you're honestly going to be on the edge of your seat for quite a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it'll definitely be entertaining to see. But thank you, Juan. I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Yeah, Juan, I just want to expand on your list for the Gold Cup, because obviously the United States, Mexico, Costa Rica is no doubt in that mix right now. But I also think if you've got a Jaime Pinedo playing at his absolute top best level, which we've seen him do before, I think you almost have to throw Panama into that mix as well, don't you think?
You should throw him in there.
Yeah.
My doubt, and this is just me coming out and saying that I don't have faith in Hernan Dario Gomez.
Okay.
Because I really don't. They'll go as far as he can take them, and I don't know if he can take them to a final.
Right.
That's just my opinion as far as Bolillo's concerned. Do they have the talent? Yeah, they do. And you could see it not just in the national team setup, but you can also see it with the up-and-comers, with some of the under-20s that are going to be trying to make some really important moves come this summer when they're in New Zealand. So you know that the future's bright for Panamanian football, but you also see that for Panamanian football that the present's still quite relevant as well. And it's one of those cases that you start to see that the country economically is doing well. Therefore, from a football standpoint, there's more money to invest in development and more money to invest in infrastructure as well. You're starting to see that really slowly but surely start to benefit Panamanian football.
Yeah, I agree. I want to take you back to the United States here. Obviously, we opened up the MLS season this weekend, and we're gonna dig deeper into it in a few minutes here on the show ourselves. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of the games. What are your thoughts? If you have, what are your thoughts on the opening weekend of MLS?
It's exciting. I mean, it's really interesting to see the amount of excitement that you're seeing in MLS right now, because nobody knew, if you go back 2-3 years ago, nobody knew exactly what was going to happen from an enthusiasm standpoint when you have players such as David Beckham, when you have players such as Landon Donovan eventually retiring, when you have Thierry Henry, and you have Robbie Keane leave. We have not Robbie Keane, but Tim Cahill. Having those types of players leave. How is the league going to take over? How's this next generation doing?
Right.
It's exciting to see, and obviously yesterday, for the first time in 14 years, we see a game in Florida, an MLS game in Florida that counts, and it's going to be interesting, Now, how is that going to help long term? We have to wait and see, because we have to see some of the youngsters really step in and get into the act as well. So I mean, overall, yeah, it's a good start. It's a promising start. So hopefully, they continue building on it.
The Bleacher Report last week came out with a list of the top 50 players in MLS. They ranked them 50 through 1. And I had the list written down. I wrote it down. for me, the biggest glaring fact was the fact that on the list, the top 6 that they had in there, only one person is a holdover from last year's MLS. Otherwise, they're all newcomers, including and some older folks. Obviously, Kaká was listed as number 1, David Villa number 3, Frank Lampard number 4, Steven Gerrard number 5, and Sebastian Giovinco number 6. They're surrounded by Robbie Keane at number 2. You see a lot of older names there, especially the top 4 between Gerrard, Lampard, Villa, and Kaká. Do you fear that we're getting back to that old NASL where we're bringing the old has-beens over to go for one last paycheck and one last go-around, or do you think that the league is starting to trend more towards the Sebastian Giovincos of the world, the younger 26, 27-year-old player who's a good, solid player, plays on a national team, but just is in a club that they just can't break into?
As far as that, to me, yeah, I mean, the marquee, you need to have the marquee, obviously. You need to have those top players here. It's kind of a necessary evil. I mean, I agree with you having these players that come in at 35, 36, 37, and maybe even younger. And also the talk of having a Cristiano Ronaldo at 34, 35, having a Lionel Messi at 30, 34 coming to MLS. I don't think that helps out much.
Right.
What I do believe helps is to bring in that second and third tier player that solidifies quality, that helps bring up the league's quality a little bit more. You don't want to have these, chasms in quality where you have, 5 or 6 players that are world-class top level or however you want to call them. And then after that, that second tier is pretty much very, very distant. You want to have those first 3 tiers as close as possible. And I think that by bringing in the lesser names or bringing in players that aren't the marketable ones, that can generate themselves a following and establish themselves as a star here. When Diego Valeri arrived here in the U.S., nobody knew who he was. Right. Yet he's constantly he's been constantly talked about for his injury to be, one of the best players in the league. Things of that nature. When you start bringing those types of players that make an impact, but they're not necessarily a star name, I believe that you need to have a lot more of those come in and solidify the play of the league. Then is when you will start seeing the difference. And I think you see it slowly but surely. It's a huge step that's been taken in that direction, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done.
Okay. My co-host Mike is asking if you know a player who plays, I believe, up in Vancouver by the name of Kekuta Mane from Gambia, I believe.
Actually, I don't, but I know of my partner. A guy I usually go on his show in Gambia, and he's always raving to me about the quality that he is over in Vancouver.
All right.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you too much about him, but as far as when I go on Vibes Radio in Gambia, actually, he's told me about him, and he told me that he's got a great deal of potential. He's got a great deal of skill, and he could be a very, very good MLS player.
Okay, yeah, and Mike's saying that he's the kid to watch out for. He's like the MLS player to watch out for. He's 19 years old. And so it looks like he might be a rising star. And it sounds like your guy over in Gambia is probably saying a lot of the same stuff. So I guess we'll have to put him on the radar for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to take you back to the CONCACAF Champions League quickly because now we're down to our Final Four. We've got Herediano and Club America. We've got Montreal Impact playing Alajuelense. Who do you see as the two teams coming out of these two matchups, and who do you think is going to win it?
I mean, by history, by name, by wallets, by many other things, you have to put Club America there, and it's one of the expectations that has to be met by Gustavo Matosas in order for him to really start beginning to fill the shoes of Antonio Mohamed. I mean, he has to win a CONCACAF Champions League. He has to win the league title as well. And I think by obligation, it has to be Club America.
Okay.
Herediano, they did well. They did enough to get by Olimpia. They did a good job of doing so. But they don't have the manpower. They don't have the experience that an America does in these types of game situations. Let's be honest. Plus, America does have more depth. If you look at them, they're a type of team that even when they're struggling, we saw it against Saprissa, that when you give them opportunities, they're going to take them. And that's one of the things that really hasn't been done, that hasn't been given to them by a lot of Liga MX teams. They're well aware of what America can do and how their style really hasn't been enclosed. If you look at León from the past couple of seasons, that's pretty much what Gustavo Matosas is looking to emulate at America. A more aesthetically pleasing, fast-paced, fast rhythm, heavy pressure type of squad. He hasn't been able to acquire that yet. So, I mean, by obligation, it has to be America. On the other end, Alajuelense and Montreal, I guess it's going to be a turf war for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it depends on how Montreal play in Alajuela. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Because Alajuelense really have been able to season themselves and really come up and get results. Okay, they lost against DC United, but still they were able to get the result that favors them, and in the end, that's what works.
Right.
So I mean, you have to look at Alajuelense and see also what America are doing, and those are the two favorites coming in. Can Montreal do it now? Probably. You're starting to see Montreal that's getting a little bit more into rhythm now that the season started. So a couple of more minutes under their belt is going to absolutely help.
Sure, and they're going to have a couple more matches because I think their match is on the 18th, so not this week, but next Wednesday, I believe. So you're going to see a chance where they've already played 2 matches in league competition at least at that point. So you're right. You know, I also think that one of the things that these Central American clubs have trouble with is coming up and playing in the cold weather. You know, and it's one of the reasons why the U.S. plays Mexico in Columbus in February, because it's hard to play there if you're not used to that type of cold.
Or a lot of Americans go to Costa Rica too.
Yeah, and they have difficulty playing in the heat and the humidity.
I'm talking live. I'm not talking about to play.
Oh, just a vacation. No, I know, but if you look at the American teams, you know, going into those hot, humid climates, you've seen them struggle with fitness in those certain situations where a lot of those Central American teams are just playing really, really well. So I think it, you know, we had the argument about the pitch previously, but I think when you're talking about the atmosphere, and that's why we're talking about playing in La Paz.
But you know what? When kickoff in Costa Rica around that time, there really isn't much of a difference.
No.
It's maybe about 60, 70 degrees Fahrenheit come 7, 8 o'clock at night. So it's not like they're going to play in Manaus or they're playing here in Miami. You know, it's not that kind of a glaring difference where even here in Miami, it's still 70, 80 degrees, but 80, 90% humidity. And yeah, fine, you're still gonna be struggling. Over there, that's not the case. I mean, there is some humidity, and you'll see some rain, but it'll freshen up in a reasonable amount of time. So I mean, I don't know if the weather's even an issue there as well. Okay. And if you go back to Montreal too, they're playing under a dome.
That's true.
So I mean, really, it's going to come down to, will Montreal be able to handle the tempo that Alajuelense is going to handle? And at the same time, when they go up to the turf up there, it's going to be the same thing, maybe to a lesser extent, but more of defensive pressure that's going to force mistakes that can lead to a counterattack.
I agree. Last point about the CONCACAF Champions League, obviously down to our final 4 teams. 2 of them, though, from Costa Rica, and we don't ever hear anybody talking too much about the Costa Rican League. But obviously, Saprissa, Club America disposed of them, I guess, rather easily. Herediano, Alajuelense, there's some good teams that were in this tournament. Should we be paying more attention to Costa Rican football, and how can we go about doing that besides reading about it?
You know what? That's a very good question. I'm for one, I've always been one that you have to pay attention to as many leagues as possible.
Sure.
Because I mean, you at least get a better reference as to how certain players and certain qualities in players end up developing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Costa Rica, I had the pleasure to speak to Eduardo Lee. He's the president of the Costa Rican FA, and he's talking about how the infrastructure within Costa Rican football has changed. So you do see teams like Saprissa really looking at it in a very professional manner. Teams like Alajuelense doing it as well, being able to also ratchet it up and be able to start establishing quality youth systems and really establishing a style of play. Something Saprissa, that I spoke to a few players from Saprissa, past and present, when I was there, and they said what we try to do here at Saprissa is to establish a style of play from the time these children that are in our youth system are 12, 13 years old. They can go and learn and acquire the qualities that need to be that are required for a player at the senior side to really envelop. And that also goes for coaching. They look for coaches that kind of fit into.
Juan, I've lost you there. We may have lost Juan there for a second. I was hoping we'd finish that thought there. I want to make sure. Rob, do I have you?
Yes.
Okay, and Mike, I've got you. Okay, let me see if I can get Juan back here real quick. Let's see what we can do here. Hopefully we'll connect him back up really quick. Let's see. The struggles of talking of heat and humidity in Miami, I guess. But we should have Juan back on in a moment. I do have one more question for him in relation to the CONCACAF Champions League, so I'm hoping we can get him back here really quick. And Juan, do we have you again?
Yeah.
Okay, we lost you there for a second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to finish off what I was saying, it's just pretty much a changing culture in Costa Rican football. And
right.
They've been the ones that have really spearheaded those projects, teams like Saprissa, Alajuelense, and even Herediano, so you do see the results coming through. But as far as the league, I mean, there's still economic issues going on. There's still a lot of inequality financially right now, and that's well known. So I mean, to watch the league, I mean, it's pretty tough because they really don't have a network here in the U.S. You have to pretty much look online at the alternative, if I want to use that term, alternative streams that are available to many of us.
Okay, so but if you hunt them down, you can find them, and if you find them, certainly worth a watch.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, no doubt about it. So I guess my last question here before we let you go for the night, and again, thanks for coming on and joining us tonight again. How is Susie doing down there in Miami?
Oh, Susie's phenomenal, dude. That girl's a walking party, man. She's something else. I love that girl to death, man.
You know, we had her on finally. It was about probably maybe a month after you came on. We were supposed to have her on, then we didn't have her on, and then we had her on the same night, I think, as David Amoyal, if I remember correctly. Wow, what a great show, you know, and like you said, man, she comes across like that on the air. She's wonderful to talk to, and what's funny is that, you know, like you said, she is a serious walking party, and then you could sit down with her and talk football for an hour.
Yeah, man. I mean, that girl's a catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody could keep her around long enough, right?
Oh. Well, you should, or you shouldn't. I mean, she's something else, man. You know?
Yeah.
But I haven't seen her in a bit because I've been in and out of the country the past couple of weeks. But but as far as Susie, man, she's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Well, if you see her, tell her we said hello back here up in the cold northeast in Connecticut here, where winter still sucks.
Yeah, don't you go and hang out with the guys at stores and, you know, do car tipping or something like that?
It's too cold to go over there, man.
Oh, the guys at ESPN.
Yeah. Although I got to tell you, I do a fundraiser for people with spinal cord injury in Connecticut here, And we held it this weekend, and our guest auctioneer was Jay Harris from ESPN, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I used to live in Bristol, so I can tell you. Over there, so I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. So I mean, I'm really, I'm not surprised. But yeah, some of the guys are tremendous over at ESPN.
No, I agree. So Juan, thanks again for joining us tonight. Obviously, we love having you on, and we'd love to have you back soon.
No problem, man. Anytime.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right.
And that was Juan Arango. He's awesome. He is so awesome. We could have him on weekly. And it's just, the thing with him is his vast knowledge of American football. Okay, because I mean we bounced around South America, we bounced around Central America, we bounced around MLS. His knowledge of American football that he can just call off the top of his head is fantastic. So he's always a lot of fun. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a great guest. He can talk about anything in terms of football. So I'm glad to see him.
Yep. Yeah. So, and Mike, I know you threw a couple of questions there in the chat. What did you think of Juan?
I always think he's a great guest. I guess I would just add about this Kenny Mena. Mm-hmm. So I thought Juan might know a little more, but he didn't seem to yet. But I think we're all going to know about him really soon. Mm-hmm. I'll correct myself, he's 20 years old, and he forced Toronto FC to change their whole game plan in the second half, which worked out for their benefit, but it was all because of him. He was able to blow by our friend Stephen Codwell and Warren Cravell 2 or 3 times in the first half. I think he's a player that the big European clubs are going to be looking at really soon. So if you want to see him in the MLS, you better do it this year, and maybe he'll be there next year. But the Whitecaps have already said that their new philosophy is going to be developing young players to sell on for transfer fees and then reinvest the transfer money into the team. So I think they're going to go and try and develop along the Southampton route.
Okay.
So Mena is definitely a player that would probably fetch a nice transfer for them in the next year or two. And definitely when Vancouver's playing your team, watch out for him.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna keep an eye out for him now that he's on the radar. I think you have to, certainly. So
he's got blinding speed, like he's fast.
Yeah. So yeah. That's the case. You know what? This is a perfect opportunity because now we're kind of jumping off into the MLS world. Mike, let's do your preview of the MLS season.
Well, I'll start with the wrap-up first, but I'll just finish the EPL because I don't think we gave our the game of the week was Swansea and Tottenham.
Yep.
And our prediction was 2-1 for Tottenham, and I think the final score was 3-2.
Okay. Yes, okay. No, we did talk about that, the over-under.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the MLS then, I'll do, like I said, the games first, and then we can all talk about the preview.
Definitely.
So the Galaxy opened the 20th Major League Soccer season Friday night with a 2-0 victory over the Fire. Jose Villarreal scored in the 65th minute, and Robbie Keane added a late goal to round out the scoring. The Galaxy are now unbeaten in 17 league games at the StubHub Center since March 8th, 2014. And Yaro Arrieta scored early in the second half for DC United as they defeated Montreal 1-0 in a battle of the MLS CONCACAF teams. The Union opened their campaign at home with a 0-0 draw versus Colorado. Jose Altidore scored twice in his Toronto FC debut in a 3-1 victory over the aforementioned Vancouver Whitecaps. Fellow Toronto newcomer Robbie Finley also scored. And another Vancouver player to keep an eye out for this season is Octavio Rivero, who scored for Vancouver and came close 2 other times. And a Blas Perez header from the center of the box in the 90th minute was enough to give Dallas a 1-0 victory to open their season versus San Jose. And a Giles Barnes sitter in the 66th minute was enough to ensure new Dynamo manager Owen Coyle a winning MLS coaching debut as Houston beat Columbus 1-0. Portland and Real Salt Lake played to a 0-0 draw. And in the game that you guys did a simul broadcast for, Orlando FC versus New York FC, Kaká's late goal helped Orlando City salvage a 1-1 draw versus New York City FC in an MLS debut for both teams. And I believe that was our match of the week.
Orlando NYCFC.
Yeah, yep. And the simulation actually had Orlando winning that one 2-1.
Oh, okay.
So, wrong there. And in another game from yesterday, Ike Opera opened the scoring for Sporting Kansas City in the 50th minute before Lloyd Sam replied on a beautiful goal. I don't know if you guys seen it.
I did. That was a fantastic goal.
It was a really nice goal. So he replied for the Red Bulls 4 minutes later as Kansas City and New York drew 1-1. And in the game last night, Clint Dempsey and Obafemi Martins combined to help the Sounders whip the Revolution 3-0. Dempsey scored twice and Martins added another. And that was the MLS in review. I won't bother to do the table considering we're only one game in.
That's right.
The teams that won are in the top.
Yeah, can I just cut in real quick? I did get a message from Ryan Penkarski. He wanted to clarify that he hasn't been contacted by the Canadian coaching staff as of yet. So it's not that he's looking to leave Canada. He just hasn't been contacted by the Canadian coaching staff as of yet. So,
all right. Thanks a lot, Ryan, for answering that. And I do wish you all the best in the future, buddy.
And Canada, get on it and call Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. What are you guys waiting for?
That's what I'm saying. So, okay. Now let's head over. Obviously, like you said, we don't need to do the tables. Let's do one thing though. Leading goal scorer right now in the league is,
I would imagine, has to be Mr. Altidore.
He's tied,
and Dempsey, I guess.
Yes,
Dempsey.
Altidore and Dempsey tied with 2 goals each. So, and they're scoring 2/3 of their team's goals so far.
So I wonder if Jurgen Klinsmann had a good weekend or if that's still a bad weekend, considering that they're in the MLS.
Well,
I just have to think that Josie Altidore, playing in Sunderland, where he probably wouldn't be playing that much right now, considering Defoe's there. Playing in the MLS and scoring these goals has got to be better than playing for one of the lower, or not playing for one of the lower teams in the EPL, and I don't know, maybe starting for one of the championship teams is where he would be if he was still in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I think Toronto, I don't know, I thought he looked really good out there. He's tough.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And so did we want to go right into the preview, or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I thought maybe I would give a quick preview of each team in order of how I thought they would finish, and maybe you guys would predict your top 6 playoff teams for each conference and add anything that you wanted to about those teams.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I'll start in the West, where I am predicting that the LA Galaxy will finish first. Mm-hmm. Their key addition, obviously, this season, who's not there yet, is going to be Steven Gerrard. And that's not a bad player to replace Landon Donovan with, I would think. Right. They are the winners of the last 3 of 4 MLS Cups. And the Galaxy will once again be paced by league MVP and goal scorer in the opening game, Robbie Keane.
And if you saw his celebration after the goals he scored the other night...
I thought he wanted to beat somebody up.
I thought he was not happy with people.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it for sure.
It certainly wasn't rated G, his celebration.
No, exactly. Finishing second in the West, I have the Seattle Sounders. Their key additions in the offseason were nobody. Expect, as we did in the home opener, Obafemi Martins and Clint Dempsey to continue terrorizing the overmatched defenses on a weekly basis. Veterans Stephen Fry, Brad Evans, Chad Marshall, and Leo Gonzalez should all be solid again. And is this the year that Siggy Schmidt reaches another MLS Cup? Nothing there, or you guys want to wait till the end to talk about it?
I just don't know. It's Siggy's had so much trouble over the years just coming up short, and this is a good side. I would have expected him to do it last year with DeAndre Yedlin on the side as well. Where, when you lose a talent like that, it's hard to replace him. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say they're not going to make it this year.
All right. Rob, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I agree.
That they're not going to make it to win the MLS Cup.
No, they won't win it. They won't win the final.
No.
All right.
I got someone else.
All right. In third, I'm going to go with Real Salt Lake. Their key addition, I think he was from the Red Bulls, is Jamison Olav.
Yeah, Jamison Olave. Yeah, he was a defender for the for New York Red Bull, and a good one. Yeah, it's a big loss for the Red Bull for sure.
And a big pickup for the Real Salt Lake.
No doubt.
I guess a big part of Real Salt Lake's season's early is going to be affected by the broken leg of Yao Plata. But they're still pretty strong up top with Alvaro Savario and Javier Morales in the attack.
Yeah, I just want to add, this is something we were talking about yesterday. Alvaro Savario is ranked 42nd on this Bleacher Report top 50 list. Joao Plata is 31st, and then just looking for him here quickly because he was way up. Javier Morales is ranked 13th. Of the top 50 players in MLS. I thought the rating on Morales yesterday was a little high. I thought Saborio's rating was a little low. And Plata is a big loss either way, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, definitely. But at least with those two players to still be able to step up in the attack, they should be okay for the first part of the season, I would think, till you can get back.
Certainly.
I guess this is the year that Lewis Gill is going to need to step up and prove that what they've been saying, that he is the next Kyle Beckerman.
Well,
one key loss this season was Chris Wingert to the New York City, but they did gain the Man Mountain in Jamison Olav.
Yep.
My pick to finish fourth is FC Dallas. The key addition this season was goaltender from Chivas, Dan Kennedy. They've got a really exciting team going forward with offensive talent that includes Mauro Diaz and Fabian Castillo, who is one of the more exciting young players in the MLS. And yeah, so that's why I think they're going to finish fourth, fifth, and I guess last year this would have been the final playoff spot, but we get sixth this year, so finishing fifth and still inside the playoffs, I predict, is Sporting Kansas City. Their key addition was Roger Espinoza, and they have a goaltender who they appear to be really excited about in Lewis Martin, and they retooled their midfield this season with, like I said, the aforementioned Espinoza. And if Dom Dwyer can return to a 20-goal scorer, then they should be pretty good. And there's also a rumor out there that Kansas City is close to signing Dutch international Rafael van der Vaart.
Is that still floating around as a rumor? Because I know that was floating maybe about 3 or 4 days ago, but then I thought it was...
it's still floating.
Oh, wow, because I thought it was squashed.
No, I still have... as of today, it says it's still floating.
Okay.
And I guess the one thing you wonder about, even though he had a good game, is Iko Pera really an everyday center back.
Scored a nice goal.
He did. So I guess we'll see how that goes forward. And finishing sixth, our friend from Vancouver, Troy, is it Troy, right?
That's right.
He'll be very happy that I'm predicting the Vancouver Whitecaps are going to finish sixth. Their key addition is that crazy Pa Madu Ka, is it? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's the one that took out Altidore for the penalty on Saturday. Did you guys see that?
I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy, that guy, Ka. He did a karate chop at him. So I guess that's pretty much their key addition, although one person who did stand out was, and not only standing out for his size, but also his play, was Kendall Watson. I don't know if you guys are aware of him. He was the center back for Vancouver. I guess if you didn't see the game, you probably didn't. They also have the fullbacks Betashore and Jordan Harvey, who both have a wealth of experience. And Carl Robinson's midfield remains solid. And I also mentioned to watch out for Octavio Rivero up front, a new addition. So that's why I'm picking them to predict sixth. I won't really go in depth on the other teams, but I'm predicting San Jose to finish seventh with their key addition of Innocent Emaguera. Portland to finish eighth, and their key addition this season was Nat Bochers. In ninth, I have Houston Dynamo. Eric Torres was their key addition. And finishing 10th, the lowly Colorado Rapids, and their key addition was Marcelo Sarvis. So I'd be interested to hear how you guys are predicting the top six for the West.
Rob, I'll let you go first.
Top six. Do you want me to give you the top six for the West?
Yeah.
Galaxy, Seattle, Dallas, Vancouver, Sporting KC, and the Timbers.
Ooh. So we have five. We agree on five of the six playoff teams. We disagree on the orders, but you have the Timbers and do not have Real Salt Lake, right?
Nope.
Okay. And what's the reason for choosing the Timbers, Rob?
I just think that they'll definitely have a good season. I personally believe that, especially after the not really having a good season so far last season, where I think they didn't make the playoffs last season. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
They
correct.
lost on the last day to Vancouver.
So definitely, they definitely want to get back on that track and really go for the playoffs, meaning they'll play hard almost every single match.
How do you think the absence of Will Johnson's going to affect them?
It shouldn't. To be well, he's out for the whole season, right?
No, not for the whole season, but he's still recovering from that broken leg you got at the end of the season last year. And now, last week, his replacement, Ben Zemansky, tore his ACL, so Joe can tell us how long that would be.
9 months?
Yeah, so...
I think if they could play well without having Will Johnson, and once he comes back in that squad, they should definitely be able to adapt.
Who do you see as a key player, like Diego Valare?
Diego Valare and Fanudo Aldi as well.
All right, and Joe, your top six?
My top six is going to be Seattle winning the division again, although they won't win MLS Cup. LA Galaxy second. I got Sporting Kansas City in third. I think Dom Dwyer is a stud, and the guy that he was playing with up top, he's a big Slovakian guy last night, if I remember correctly. Looked pretty good. I just can't remember his name right now. Graham Zusi's on that side as well. They still got Sinovic on the back line, so they're still pretty solid for me overall. And I'm going to take them third. FC Dallas, I'm going to take fourth. The Portland Timbers, I'm going to take fifth. I'm high on the Timbers as well, especially with Diego Valeri and Darlington Nagbe.
Are you talking about Espinosa, Joe?
No.
That was playing up top with Dwyer?
You know what? It was Espinosa that was playing up top with Dwyer.
Right, and that was the key addition that I said. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Portland fifth. Again, when you looked at Portland last year, the difference between Portland last year and the Portland the year before was their dominance at home. Portland at home 2 years ago was ridiculously good, and it led to, I think, their second or third place finish in the league or in the division 2 years ago. Last year, they had a very poor showing at home, but were still good enough to to challenge Vancouver on the last day for that final playoff spot. I think you're going to see them return to better home form this year. When they get Will Johnson back, they will become that much better. So I'm taking Portland fifth. And I'm going to take Real Salt Lake sixth. It's hard to deny that Salt Lake side. They're a quality side all the way through and through. Losing Joao Plata really hurts them. But like you said, they do have enough firepower on that side with Javier Morales and with Alvaro Saborio. They got Kyle Beckerman in the middle there as well, and Nick Raimondo, one of the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in MLS. So I think they have certainly enough quality to finish the season in the playoff positions. You could even flip-flop RSL in Portland in those spots. I think the teams that are going to challenge for those last playoff spots, if we want to go a little further, we're going to see a tight race between Portland, Salt Lake, Vancouver, and the Houston Dynamo, especially if the Dynamo pick up Cubo Torres. If he comes back early from Chivas Guadalajara, then I think you can see Houston really making a run for some of those playoff spots as well. But if they don't get him back pretty quickly, then they're going to be starting from way behind, and I don't think they'll be able to make it up. Colorado and San Jose are going to round it out in no particular order. I think they're just too little too late at the moment. Marcelo Sarvis is a nice addition to Colorado, but Marcelo Sarvis is better when he's got some talent around him like he had in the LA Galaxy last year. So I don't think Sarvis himself is going to be enough to really catapult Colorado into that playoff picture this year at least.
All right, and I guess the only thing I would disagree is I think Houston's really not too good.
Yeah, well, the problem is they're not really that good, but they can.
How old is Brad Davis? Another year. He's getting pretty old, and
I'd have to look.
I really think Will Bruin is maybe one of the most overrated players of right now.
No, I think he's
a second-tier striker at best.
No, I don't think he's.
Davis 33.
Davis is 33. Yeah, so he's not getting any younger. That's for sure. And the problem with searching Brad Davis is when you search Brad Davis, you get an actor, Brad Davis, who was born in 49 and died in 91. You've got
yeah, it's a pretty common name. I would think that one.
We should definitely get Brad Davis on the show.
Well, I know we've been efforting. I know he follows you two guys.
Yeah, he follows everybody, I think.
Except me. Still didn't follow me.
You can't blame that, but he follows 19,000 people.
Yeah, I'm not a very good follower.
We should definitely try to get him. We should definitely try to get him.
Yeah, so let's head over to the Eastern Conference and see what you've got to say about Toronto.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, finishing first, I am taking the New England Revolution. Okay. Their key addition was Juan Agudelo.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he will. Let me see. Okay, I'm sorry. I think that their center back four is amongst the best in the MLS with Farrell, Goncalves, and Tierney, and that pretty much remains intact. If Lee Nguyen can have another season like he did last year, I really don't see a reason why the Revolution can't return to the MLS Cup. Second, I am taking DC United. Their key addition of Yaro Arrieta, who did score in the first game, the winner against Montreal. I'm a little uneasy putting them here, but it's pretty hard to pick a team that went worst to first last season and has Fabian Espandola, Bobby Boswell, Chris Wolf, Pontius, Sean Franklin. So they're a pretty solid team in the midfield, and they know how to win. So I'm going to pick them to finish second. In third place, I'm taking my Toronto FC with the key additions of Jose Altidore and Sebastian Giovinco, who both looked good on Saturday. Altidore outstanding, Giovinco good. His ball handling skills are amongst the best in the MLS, that's for sure. The midfield partnership of Shearu and Bradley is really going to help to shore up Toronto defensively this season. And obviously the addition of Giovinco and Altidore is perhaps the best 1-2 punch in the conference, so I'm picking them to finish third. Fourth, I'm taking Orlando City. Their key addition, as everyone knows, is Kaká. As Joe mentioned earlier, this is a team, not a real expansion team. This is a team that's already been a team for a long time. And they picked up some good young players like Breck Shea, Brian Roches, and they should be a fun team to watch this season. The reason they don't finish higher is because of their defense, I would think. So I'm going to pick them to finish 4th. In 5th, I have New York City FC. The key addition, obviously, is everybody, but David Villa would be the biggest signed name. Frank Lampard will be over later, but for now, it's David Villa. And I think with Villa, Lampard, and Mix Diskerud, they could make the playoffs, so I'm going to pick them to finish 5th. And 6th, and rounding out the playoff picture, is the Columbus Crew with their key addition of Key Camara. Federico Higuain is back for another season. They have midfielder and homegrown midfielder Will Trapp, who's had a sniff with the U.S. national team. So I think they're going to finish. Columbus is always a playoff type team, so I'm going to pick them to finish 6th. And just outside of the playoffs, I've got the Impact moving up to 7th, the Red Bulls in 8th, the Fire in 9th, and the Philadelphia Union in 10th.
All right, Rob. So I'll go first this time, as you went first the last time. So, I in the East, I'm gonna quickly apply the kiss of death right now, and say the Toronto FC is going to win the East. Okay, so there you go, Sir Bob. I'm sorry, but I do think
Does your kiss of death mean they don't make the playoffs, though?
My kiss of death means they finish dead last, probably. But I think,
may 5 feet of snow fall on you tonight.
That's already happened once. but no, I feel like with the addition of Sebastian Giovinco and Josie Altidore, they've really packed a nice punch up there. Michael Bradley, I think, will feel less pressure of having to score with that much firepower up there, and they're going to keep a lot of teams on their heels, constantly pushing forward. So I think Toronto FC really will win the East. I do truly believe.
And
that.
Let's not forget the speed of Ryan Finley too.
That's right. So, and Stephen Caldwell.
Yes. And I should mention that Damien Perquis, the Polish international that I've mentioned a few times, he is outstanding.
Yeah. Definitely a good, solid player.
He's him and Stephen Caldwell are really going to shore up this, as long as Stephen can stay healthy. Really going to shore up our defense this season.
No doubt about it. Second place for me, I've got the New England Revolution. Again, adding Juan Aguadello, I hope he can get his feet under him pretty quickly. They could certainly challenge for everything with a player of his caliber. Third place for me, I took Bill Hamid in DC United. I think Hamid is a guy that can put a team on his shoulders and run with them. So I really expect big things out of them this year. They were 1-0 winners over the weekend as well. So in fourth place, I'm taking NYCFC. When they get Frank Lampard to come in mid-season, I think they are really going to start to turn it on. They looked pretty good in spurts yesterday as well. Although I was surprised, David Villa, I expected a little more out of him yesterday, but Mix Diskerud, I thought, had a fantastic game. He was all over the place causing trouble. So I really think this NYCFC team, given a little bit of time, can gel. Also, the kid that came on that they drafted in the Super Draft, Rob, I don't remember his name, but the young kid they drafted out of Oregon State, the forward that came on in the second half, he was outstanding.
NYC from NYC.
Yeah, I don't have my show notes for yesterday punched up here. I can punch them up in a minute.
Where did he come from?
He was from he was the second pick in the MLS Super Draft. He came from Oregon State.
Oh, Kirchy Shelton.
Yeah, that's it, Shelton. Yep. Fantastic kid. I think if they get him up and running, he really created a nice little spark for that side when he came on. So I've got NYCFC in fourth. In fifth, I've got the New York Red Bull. I know that there's a huge loss there with Jameson Olave and obviously Thierry Henry, but I think Sasha Kleishen's going to add some nice stability in the midfield for them, and they looked pretty dangerous. Roy Miller actually looked pretty good last night as well. So I think you'll see Red Bull fall off the pace a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be quite as far off as you'd expect. With Robles in goal, the kid is a good goaltender as well. So I think I think they.
What about the loss of Olev?
Olave? Yeah, no. The loss of Jamison Olave is a big deal.
Olave, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'd mentioned that it's a big deal to lose him, but I do think that that they have enough in the midfield to control the match. One guy that I don't think played last night, but is definitely on the squad. And will probably be playing sometime soon as another player that I'm really high on is Peggy Liandula, who had a fantastic second half to last season. So, you get him on the pitch against Sporting KC last night in Kansas City. Maybe the result's a little different, but it seems like the Red Bull have KC's number. They did so well against them last season.
Liandula's the French kid, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he's really good, yeah.
Yeah. And for my sixth and final team, and I think it's going to really be a dogfight to get into this spot. I'm taking Mike for the same reasons you did, the Columbus Crew. They've got a solid team. Federico Higuain is certainly someone to be reckoned with. Always seem like they have a team that is playoff bound or can grit it out. And going to Columbus and playing a match is difficult. Although, if you remember last year in the first round, the New England Revolution just went to Columbus and dismantled them. But that's the exception, not the rule for the way Columbus plays at home. So I've got Columbus winning out a tight sixth place race against both Philly and Orlando City, and it's tough. I think between fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, you could interchange the Red Bull, Columbus, Philly, and Orlando, and I don't think you'd make a mistake either way. It's a tough call, and I think we're going to see some really nice playoff races shape up in the second half of the season for both the Eastern and Western Conference, in my opinion.
If I'm looking at this right, I think me and you do have 5 out of the 6 playoff teams. So we don't have the order, but we have 5 out of 6. You've swapped in New York and no Orlando, right?
Correct. I've got the Red Bull and no Orlando.
All right. And Rob?
I'm going to go for top 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In first, I got the New England Revolution. In second, I have the Columbus Crew. In third, Toronto FC. In fourth, DC United. In fifth, New York Red Bulls. And in sixth, Orlando City.
So me and you agreed on every team.
Yeah.
Just different order.
Yep.
Oh, cool. And let's go and even go further. Who's going to win the East in the play and go to the MLS Cup?
So who's going to play in the final?
Yeah.
You're not going to go first?
Oh, I could go first. Yep. I'm going to predict the New England Revolution against the LA Galaxy, the same as last year.
A repeat, and are you picking a winner as well, or no?
Yeah, I guess I should. It's going to be hard to go against the Galaxy.
Okay, so you get the Galaxy winning it all.
I do.
Rob, how about you?
I agree. I definitely agree.
You're taking the Galaxy over New England in the final.
Yep, just like last year.
Well, the only thing we have similar is the fact that we both have New England in the final. I've got New England playing Seattle in the final. And
obviously you're taking New England to win because you said Siggy Schmidt wouldn't win this year again.
That's right. I really think that the Revolution will manage to lock it up as they were unable to last year and win their first championship. I could easily interchange Toronto in this spot. I really think Toronto is that scary good. But I don't want to totally curse you, Mike.
I don't want to say Toronto at all, but I really hope they're there.
Yeah, but
the playoffs for now, that's just playoffs for the first time ever would be great.
Yeah, but I think they're going into the playoffs with style. So, but I am going to take New England Revolution over the Seattle Sounders in MLS Cup this year.
Okay, and I guess while we're at it, the I don't know what they call it in the MLS, unfortunately, but the Golden Boot winner. Most goals.
Altidore.
God, I want to be a contrarian. Let me think about this for a second. I'm going to go Robbie Keane. I'll be the contrarian and take Robbie Keane.
Oh, you're going way out on a limb, eh?
I'm going way out on that limb.
Okay, and I guess one more thing we could talk about our player to watch. I've already said buying this season is going to be Kakuta Mena from Vancouver Whitecaps.
Mm-hmm.
You guys? Anybody or
I'm going to take the kid from NYCFC. I've got to really call up his name here because that's going to drive me. Shelton. Kiri Shelton.
Henry Shelton.
From NYCFC, 19-year-old. Like I said, he was on fire when he came on the pitch yesterday for NYCFC. That's the kid I'm saying is the player to watch.
All right, and Rob, you're usually really good on young players to watch from South American stuff. Do you have one for us to keep our eye out on from the MLS?
I'm going to agree with Joe and pick Shelton as well.
All right.
Yeah, he's impressive.
So I will endeavor to keep up on them every week and maybe mention when they do something that's noteworthy.
Fantastic. So that's going to do it for our MLS coverage tonight. Just real quick, I want to mention the CONCACAF Champions League that we had talked about earlier with Juan. We did narrow it down to a Final Four with just going through the matches from last week quickly. And I'm just calling up my numbers here, just if you'll give me one moment. Montreal with a last-minute goal to draw Pachuca at home 1-1, and going through on away goals in that one, 2 away goals to 1. DC United winning at home against Alajuelense 2-1, but losing on aggregate 6-4. Club America beating Saprissa 2-0 at the Estadio Azteca, but going out on aggregate 5-0. And Herediano 2-0 over Olympia, 3-1 on aggregate. So we ended up with we now enter the semifinals, where we've got Herediano versus Club America on March 17th, and the Montreal Impact against Alajuelense on the 18th. So we'll probably look over those matches quickly for next week, and give some quick little predictions next week. But we're down to the Final Four in the CONCACAF Champions League, and I'm really, really rooting for Montreal. I don't think they can do it, but it would be great to see Montreal actually make it to the final. But like Juan had said a little earlier, I think Club America is the team to beat at this point. So,
can I just ask you if you know how many MLS teams have ever made the final?
I'll check.
Oh, you want to check it up? I don't think any. I
don't think so either. So that would be an amazing result for Montreal.
For the CONCACAF Champions League.
CONCACAF Champions League. I think at the moment there have only been 3 MLS sides to ever defeat a Mexican side in this competition, and that was obviously Montreal over Pachuca this year, but I believe the LA Galaxy and Sporting KC have also done, completed that task.
And I think it's safe to say that this Montreal team at this point in time is a lot better than the team that qualified for the Champions League.
No doubt about it.
They could do something.
Yeah, Rob, you got news?
Yes, I do. 1990. There have been 3 MLS clubs that have qualified for the CONCACAF Champions League. Cruz Azul beat the LA Galaxy 5-3 in 1999. DC United won against Toluca 1-0 in 1998 to become the first ever American club to win a CONCACAF Champions League. LA Galaxy did the same 2 years later against Olympia of Honduras. And in 2011, Real Salt Lake became the last U.S. team to appear in the final when they lost 3-2 on aggregate against Monterrey.
Okay.
So 2 MLS teams have actually won the CONCACAF?
That is correct.
Yeah, 2 champions.
Wow, I thought it was 0 for sure.
Yeah. So
the last time
Thanks for that, Rob.
The last time I guess I can mention this. The last 3 teams to make a semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions League were Seattle, LA, and of course Toronto FC.
That I remember.
Yep. So, but we'll see. We'll see if Montreal can complete the feat and get into that final over the next couple of weeks, I'd say.
And we're all hoping for that, aren't we?
Oh, we certainly are. No
I am. Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right, so we've got Champions League. Let's keep it on the Champions League theme. We've got Champions League matches this week. We've got second legs coming up in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. One match which we will highlight in our match to watch coming up this week. But we've got Real Madrid playing Schalke, I believe, and I forget the aggregate on this one. I'm going to go back a little bit and take a quick peek here. We've got Real Madrid up 2-0 on Schalke on aggregate with 2 road goals in that one. We have FC Porto and Basel playing at Porto. That is all even at 1 apiece on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain playing at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea, currently they're both tied 1-1 on aggregate. And Bayern Munich at home to Shakhtar Donetsk. And Bayern, I believe that one is 0-0 on aggregate. So we'll talk about the PSG-Chelsea match in our preview. But as far as the other ones go, I think we've already made decisions that we'd selected, I think, last week, Bayern Munich over Shakhtar.
Yeah, we did.
And I think we took Porto over Basel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And Real Madrid, obviously, is a formality. So big matches coming up this week, and obviously next week we'll have some matches as well that we'll highlight. We're also into the quarterfinal first legs of the Europa League coming up on Thursday. We had mentioned these matchups last week as they made the draws earlier. We've got Zenit St. Petersburg versus Torino, Wolfsburg at home to Inter, Dnipro at home to Ajax, Club Brugge at home to Besiktas, Fiorentina at home to Roma, Everton at home to Dynamo Kiev, Villarreal at home to Sevilla, and Napoli at home to Dynamo Moscow. We kind of talked about the results, but we do have a matchup that we are going to highlight in our week ahead segment as well. And that ought to do it for the Europa League. So you know what, gentlemen? We are at the week ahead, as it's the last item of business before the trivia answer. Rob, I'm going to throw it over to you to give us predictions on Eibar Barcelona.
Oh, this should be simple enough. Barcelona.
Okay.
3-0.
3-0 Barca?
Yep.
Okay, let me write that down. And what does did you get a chance to simulate these, Mike?
I didn't simulate. I only simulated the ones I wanted to, but I do have predictions for all of them. This was a simulator, and it is 2-0 Barcelona.
Okay, so right along the lines with the simulator. So in Ligue 1, we have the big.
What was yours, Joe?
Yeah, I would say 3-0 Barca.
Okay.
It might even be 4, but I would definitely say 3-0. I don't think that's a stretch. Yeah. In Ligue 1, we're going to go look at Marseille-Lyon. This is certainly a big matchup of two of the top 3 teams in Ligue 1. Marseille coming off their big 6-1 victory this week, and Lyon coming off a big victory this week as well. This match is being played at Marseille, but you know what? Lyon is on such great form. I'm going to take Lyon in this one 2-1 with the road victory. If you want to give me the simulator.
0-0.
Oh, wow. I certainly don't think it's going to finish goalless.
No.
I hope you both eat these words next week.
I got 1-1.
You got one. You'll take 1-1.
Well, that's still the same score though, so that we don't really care about the score. I'm saying a draw.
Okay, but it's certainly not going to be goalless. Not with.
Oh, it certainly could be.
Well, the top two scorers in the French league playing in the same match.
Yeah, well, that's when things like this happen.
I'll like to see it, but I think that's probably the best match on the docket in terms of the leagues this week for sure. So, Rob, Dortmund Cologne.
2-0 Dortmund.
2-0
Dortmund. Yep.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Mike, what do you got there?
2-1.
2-1. Okay.
Dortmund.
All right. So, yeah. Okay, so back over to Serie A. We've got Roma Sampdoria this week, which is another nice little matchup. With Roma, the form that they've been on, I'm going 1-1. They can't get off that until they start winning games consistently. I'm going to just keep saying that they're going to draw. So I'll take 1-1. Rob, how about you?
2-1 Roma.
2-1 Roma?
Yep.
Do you have a simulator on this one, Mike?
I didn't, but I do have my prediction. I'm taking Roma 2-0.
2-0. All right. So let's go over to the last league match, which is Manchester United against Tottenham Hotspur.
No, we have MLS match still.
Oh, yeah. Well, I usually come back to the United States after Europe.
Oh, I just meant that you said the last league match. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I apologize. Yep. The second to last league match of the night. So United Tottenham. Mike, do you want to give us a prediction?
I do.
Go for it.
Manchester United 1, Tottenham 2.
Wow.
Is that you speaking from the heart, or is that the simulator?
That's me from the heart.
Okay.
Using the simulator's result.
Using the simulator's result.
and speaking from the heart, like I endorse that result.
Yeah, well, I would say that, from your heart, it would be 9-0 Tottenham. But, just because they're going to go gentle. I'm going to take a draw on this one. I think this one is being played at Old Trafford. Yeah, it's 1-1.
All right.
Rob?
2-2.
2-2. Okay.
Yep.
And
I'll make a special mention. Harry Kane to score anytime.
Oh, there you go. You heard it. So we've got Columbus as our MLS match of the week. Columbus Crew, Toronto FC. Mike, your wheelhouse.
The simulator was used.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus 2, Toronto 0.
I'm taking.
Even if I wasn't using the simulator, Columbus is never an easy place to go and get a win.
No, it certainly isn't. But I'm taking the opposite of the simulator. I'm taking Toronto 2-0.
Well, I hope I'm wrong.
Rob?
And you're right.
2-2.
2-2. We're taking a draw there.
Yep. So we got every angle covered. One of us is going to be right.
Yeah. So let's go to the Champions League, and our featured match is going to be Chelsea. PSG, we've got they're coming back to Stamford Bridge, 1-1 on aggregate right now. What do we think?
I'd like to go last on this one.
Fair enough. I'll go first. I'll take Chelsea 1-0.
That leaves you, Rob.
Chelsea 2-1.
And
Mike?
In extra time.
Oh, goodness.
Oh.
Chelsea 1, PSG 2.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Is that from the heart, or is that from...
That's both again. I really love the simulator today.
Just imagine that.
I hope that PSG really wins this. I hope Matt's listening. I hope our friend Matt's listening. And I'm taking PSG 2-1.
Is that game tomorrow, or is it on Wednesday?
That game is tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Okay.
Real Madrid, Schalke tomorrow. Porto, Basel.
Ooh, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And I have it listed. I have it listed incorrectly on our guide. But the Europa League match that we're going to go with is the Fiorentina-Roma match on Thursday. So I'll go first.
Roma, I have enter.
Yeah, I have it listed incorrectly. It's Fiorentina-Roma.
Oh, I might not have a prediction yet. Hold on.
All right.
I simulated. Oh, no, I did. Yeah, no, I just predicted from my head Fiorentina enter. Give me 1 sec. You guys go first.
Yep. All right. I'm going to take Fiorentina in this one 2-1 to start. Rob, how about you?
Is the game played at Rome?
No, it's in Florence.
1-1.
1-1.
1-1. Yep.
Yeah, and
Salah to score.
Salah to score. Yeah,
yep.
That's actually not a brave prediction because he's been on fire. Mike, do you want to care to throw your hat in the ring?
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1 as well. All right. So, just to give you the rundown on the predictions, we've got Barca over Eibar.
Oh, it's Roma. Hold on. Sorry. Roma, I did enter again. Yeah, 1-1 still.
1-1. Okay. So for the predictions for this week, we've got Barca 3-0 over Eibar. And again, I'm giving the prediction of the person that covers the league, guys.
Right.
Barca 3-0 over Eibar. Lyon 2-1 over Marseille. Dortmund 2-0 over Cologne. Roma and Sampdoria play to a 1-1 draw. Tottenham 2-1 over Man United. Columbus 2-0 over Toronto. And in the Champions League, I've got Chelsea over PSG 1-0. Rob, you've got Chelsea over PSG 2-1. And Mike, in extra time, you've got PSG over Chelsea 2-1. And
Joe, from your lips to God's ears.
and in the Europa, we have the first leg, Fiorentina-Roma. I have Fiorentina with a 2-1 win, and you guys both have 1-1 draws in Florence. So that will recap our week ahead. We got some good games next week, guys. That's for sure. So,
absolutely.
All right, Mike, we've got an answer coming up to a trivia question, which I haven't written down any names at all. I had one name that I'm writing down now for one of the predictions, and other than that,
before I go to the trivia, can I ask you guys one thing?
Sure.
and maybe you'll know, is the MLS, is this the way they're going to do it this year? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Or are we going to have all this stupid games that, one game on Tuesday, another one on Thursday?
No, this is going to be a consistent thing.
Oh, perfect. This is really good like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, it's going to be great to see it all on the weekends finally. So, all right, the answer to the trivia question. Give us the question again.
All right. Which players have scored the most Premier League goals for the following clubs? The Tottenham Hotspur, Aston Villa, Everton, Leeds United, and the great Manchester City.
So for me, the key was first most Premier League goals, meaning that this is in the past 25 years or so.
What is this? A 20th year, isn't it? Of the Premier
20.
League? I'm not sure though.
Yeah, 20th year.
So
that's what I thought.
I've only got two names that I've got so far. I took Emmanuel Adebayor for Tottenham, as he's been there for a while.
From Tottenham?
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
And I took Carlos Tevez for Man City.
Okay,
Yes.
and those are your picks too, Rob, or do you have other ones?
For Tottenham, I'm going to say Jermaine Defoe. And for Manchester City, I'm going to say as well Tevez.
And do you have any for Everton, Leeds, or Aston Villa?
That's the thing. I don't have for either.
No.
I just
nothing
really?
for Villa.
No names were really.
I think you guys are going to be a little surprised.
Maybe one mention of Villa. I'll try to say something. No, never mind. Nope.
Okay. I'll close it now, but I'm going to tell you two of these players are still active.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For the Tottenham Hotspurs, their all-time leading scorer, I thought for sure one of you should get this, and maybe even you, Joe, with the poker connection, is Teddy Sheringham.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one got that one, really. I didn't expect a couple, but I thought that one, and I for sure thought someone would get Gabriel Agbonlahor, is Aston Villa's all-time leading scorer.
Is he really?
Wow.
He is.
Is he? Wow.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I didn't expect anyone to get this one because we don't have a toffee stand, but I'm sure you've both heard of Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really thought someone, if Ben was here, he would have got this one for sure because
Leeds, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Mark Viduka played there forever until he went to Middlesbrough at the end of his career. But yeah, he was a big goal scorer, Viduka.
Okay.
And this one is going to shock you both off
it
your
Aguero?
pants. It is Sergio Aguero.
Damn it! I knew it.
I knew it.
I
didn't know if he broke Tevez's record yet.
I didn't know if he had gotten ahead of Tevez either.
And I would just mention that since you guys were doing that earlier, I have closed the page now, unfortunately. But tied on goals at the top of the Premier League is Diego Costa and Sergio Aguero.
Okay.
I believe they're both on 17.
Wow.
Yep. And yet, you're right. Here it is. Manchester for Sergio Aguero, 69 goals in 110 matches. And for
he's most goals in the least amount of minutes in Premier League history.
Yep, that is correct. And Tevez with 58 in 113 for City.
So gross.
Yeah, he has the best goals to minutes ratio in Premier League history.
Well, at least we had the right country, right, Rob?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
And I guess you did have the guy that was till now. It was Tevez and then Aguero.
That's true. We had second place, so it's not
yeah.
bad.
I'll take it.
All right, gentlemen, let's hit the closing music, don't you think?
I think so. Yep. It was a good show.
Yeah.
Great show tonight.
So, again, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit so that we're not talking over it. But for episode 64 of Low Limit Football, special thanks to Ryan Penkarski, to Juan Arango for joining us tonight. Next week, we are still efforting our guest list for next week, but we'll cover the scores and highlights from all the leagues, including MLS. We'll cover the Champions League, who's moved on to the semifinals of the Champions League, as well as who is potentially moving on in the Europa. And we will start to look at those CONCACAF matches a little bit closer. We'll have a new trivia question for everybody, and that ought to do it for us. For episode 64 of Low Limit Football, I'm Joe Usello.
And I'm Rita Rojas.
And I'm Mike Orr. Watch the MLS.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, and good night.
Thanks for listening.